Hey everyone, how's it all going? Welcome to my 56th episode of my casual playthrough of Bloons Tower Defense 6. Today we are going to play through Workshop. Yeah, okay, Workshop. We're going to try to black border this as fast as possible, so yeah, let's just get stuck into it, shall we, Demo?
Yeah, also, my experience on this game is very low, so Frosty has a lot of the work to do here, but yeah.
That's it, I'll do a lot of heavy lifting, both metaphorically and physically here as well.
Absolutely.
Alright, time will start when I hit the play button here, so in 3, 2, 1, let's go! So, Bloons Tower Defense 6. Now, you may notice here that there is absolutely nothing happening on the screen, and that is by intention, Demo.
Absolutely.
We don't want there to be anything on the screen at any point. So, unfortunately, for the majority of this viewing experience of this 5-minute auto-scroller that we're starting off with here, there is going to be not a lot happening. So, I'm going to use this time to explain just a few different mechanics. We've got a few different towers that we're going to place down here, and they're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, the one that you're going to be seeing the most of today is this Druid. This Druid has a ability called the Vine Grab here, and the Vine Grab is so good because it permanently deletes one Bloon and also leaves a lingering projectile. You're going to hear that word a lot, lingering projectiles. Pretty much the way to speedrun Bloons is to try to kill every single Bloon as fast as possible. So we don't want to see any Bloons really popping up here at all. Now, at this point of the game, we have seen so much that it is pretty much frame perfect for a lot of these runs. You know, we're going to be seeing, you know, stuff like this here, but you know, every now and again, so long as there's nothing on screen by the time that the round ends, then we're all good, right? So we're going to be maximizing a lot of what's going on here. Now, we've started off with the game mode of deflation. We've got 13 different game modes that we need to get through Demo to allow us to get a black border.
Basically, for the ease of following along as well, more balloons on screen equals bad, and if we can't ever see the balloons on screen, we're doing a very good job, and obviously Frosty is doing a great job right now.
There we go. So that's the first mob there, that's the big enemy class Bloon, and we've got the mob assassin here, which coincidentally enough also just happens to kill those in one shot, which is going to be a recurring theme here. So it turns out that Bloons Tower Defense 6 is in fact a live service game, which means that it is subject to, you know, buffs and nerfs. And one of the buffs that they recently gave was this tower kind of left the insides of the Moab there. It's got 4 ceramic balloons in there, very dangerous balloons. We don't like those. So they decided, you know what, if you overkill something, it just deletes the entire inside. For a speedrunning, that is amazing. We love that. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that. And in fact, this run used to be very difficult, like incredibly difficult. So difficult that I was the only person to ever attempt to try to do it. Yeah.
Just speaks to the level of gamer required.
Yeah, you can see me. You can see me working very hard right now. This is definitely gaming hours for me.
The APM is pretty high.
Yeah, that's
like, we're talking StarCraft 2 professional levels.
Yeah, I mean, I might be clicking this mouse button like once for a little bit here.
Again.
Oh, well, ready? Oh, I pressed it again. Oh, let's go.
Fantastic. Well done.
Dude. You don't know, that was a hard mouse button press.
Oh, yeah.
So pretty much what this is going to be is there is a little bit of interaction coming up here as the rounds start to get a little bit more difficult. As I mentioned, deflation here is going to be a bit of an auto-scroller. You'll see the balloons come on screen for a bit here. That's a bit of a clerical error. We're going to eventually just get rid of that really quickly. Excellent work. But as you'll see later on in the runs, I will actually have to start moving my cursor and doing a heck of a lot of stuff here. So there might be times where I don't end up talking. Now, a special thing about a lot of these 50 rounds is they start and end with Moabs. So the thing that we want to focus on is sometimes we don't want to kill off every single Bloon, and we want to focus on killing off the last Bloon on the screen as fast as possible, because that's going to progress the round here. So pretty much what I'm doing is I'm allowing these first ones to come through, killing off the second one there, and that's going to allow us to progress very, very quickly. Recently, there has been a lot of improvement on a lot of these runs here as well. In the lead up to this, in the practice, I broke 4 world records in trying to do all of this here, so there was definitely a lot of improvement to go through to make sure that everything was running hunky-dory, but this is going to be an interesting run, Demo, because...
Yeah, well, actually, there's room to potentially world record on this run as well,
yes.
Currently, so we may see a marathon, not only a marathon PB, but also a world record.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it here, but, you know, that assumes that I don't mess up everything. This is, after all, about a 2.5-hour run, and is potentially very unforgiving. As I'm sure a lot of Bloons players know, if you've ever had a run that has gone very late into 100 rounds there and then ended up dying on it, you cannot restart. You cannot continue from that point there. You have to continue from the very beginning as well. So if I ever screw up on one of those there, it is 15 minutes. I hope that I don't go over time on 15 minutes there, because that would be very bad. And I'm pretty sure the tournament organizers would not be terribly happy with me. So we're going to try to avoid that. Now, next up here, we've got Apocalypse. And this is, by far, the worst game mode in this entire gosh darn game, because it's entirely random demo.
Yeah, randomness is usually a very common uncomfortable subject for a speedrunner, no matter what game. Now you take the chance of RNG and you apply it to an entire level, and I'm sure this often results in resetting quite often. So we've got to try and prepare for every possible scenario that we can.
To put it in perspective, this can go for either 5 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on how long Ninja Kiwi decides that they want to send Bloons at me. There is nothing I can do to progress this. It doesn't matter whether I kill the Bloons faster or not. It is just purely a case of, did you get lucky? The bad news, however, is if you do get lucky, you get greeted with an incredibly difficult seed, because the game will just be like, here is a round, here is a round, here is a round. In a game mode where we require farms to be able to defend a lot of those, it is very, very dangerous. So what we're going to be doing here is we're pretty much going to be relying on farmsimulator.com to get us through the majority of what we're going to go through here. So, if you've got a donation or two, I don't know, maybe we can just chuck that out now. Maybe, have a look, see. No, okay.
Okay, so, sorry, it takes a few moments to unmute this microphone. But just to remind everyone, we are AusSpeedruns. We are a group doing speedruns to raise money for charity. For this event, we're raising money for Game On Cancer, a charity which funds early career cancer researchers who are working across all areas of cancer research. So, if you'd like to donate, you can go to donate.ausspeedruns.com. Thank you.
Wonderful. So as you may note here, I ended up getting a sniper because it turns out that the hero that we're using here, Sauda, is incredibly weak to leads. Leads are very, very bad, in particular here. I've had many a run. So she's got an ability that can clear out lead balloons, which is immune to pretty much every single damage type except things that pop lead. That's going to be a recurring theme here, is like, if it can pop lead, that's great. If it can't pop lead, you're probably dead.
Very smart in balloon evolutionary traits that they decided to add lead to their own, biological construct that is just usually a bit of latex.
You think, how does that even work, right?
How does it work?
How does that work?
Do you have any theories on why that works?
No. I mean, that would imply that I'd be thinking about a children's balloon game
and there's
here.
not enough time to think about that when we've got a lot of RNG about to hit us in round 30.
That's it. I mean, look, as you're seeing right here, the rounds have actually progressed fairly quickly here, so we're going to have to start to try to, start fast-tracking some of our defense. We've already lost most of our lives at this point, so we're looking at about, say, a 7-minute here, which is about average.
It's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, for something that can go for, like, just red balloons here, and then just continuously screw you over. Yeah, you know what? I think I'll take the funnier thing here. Now, as you see, the lead balloons right here, this is going to be one where I'm going to actually have to go out because I'm going to die. And we don't want to lose a whole bunch of time to that there. So that's kind of unfortunate. However, we do have a little bit of backup there just in case. The unfortunate thing about backing out here, as we'll see here, you can't really protect any of your defense there. You just have to, try to mount something there very quickly. And that's just going to be a situation where there's pretty much nothing that I can do other than sell my farms off there. However, if I sell my farms off, it's pretty much a cascading effect.
Yep.
If I sell off my farms there, I'm just going to die in the long term. So pretty much what I need to do is just farm better.
Yeah, this is why it's very punishing. Like, not only you're dealing with a layer of RNG, you're dealing with a layer of, like, a backup strat. Also includes, not that it's a backup that just saves you, but there's extra work to be done on top of that. So
oh, absolutely.
There's a lot going on beneath the hood.
So just a little bit of an added sort of thing here. You might be thinking, right, Bloons is a game that has somewhat pay-to-win functions, right? Like, why don't you just, say, purchase hero levels by paying monkey money? Well, see, as a speedrunner there, that kind of goes against what we're trying to do here, so we can't do that. We have to instead just play the game somewhat normally here and, just try to play the game out no powers, no nothing here. The only 2 powers that are allowed, as you may see, are the banana farmer. This wonderful dancing little monkey right here.
Look at that cute little guy.
Look at him go.
He's having a fantastic
He's
time.
having an absolutely wonderful time right about now, unlike the seed that I just lost there before. However, this guy does have a bit of a purpose here. He's here to scoop up all the farms that usually pop up here. Otherwise, you'd be seeing me do a mad dance with my mouse, just being, trying to get over the screen here, try to collect everything. And that doesn't really appeal to me all that much there. So we're not going to do that. Now, one little benefit that we have now is that it turns out that even though Apocalypse is completely random demo, even though I've taken a game over at this point, I now know everything that's about to come up, because when you hit restart here, the seed is the exact same. So I know that for the next few biddies here, we're not going to come up with any leads, so I can be a little bit more greedy, and I can get a little bit more income, which will allow me to defend those leads a little bit better. So that's exactly what we're going to take the time to do here, is just prepare a little bit of extra defense, and now, I swear this time, I'm not going to get caught off.
But don't actually swear, because we do have the swear jar.
Oh,
yeah.
We have a swear jar?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Ooh, okay, so I guess this is a pretty important time to announce then that I was actually planning on doing a bit of a wrong button. A bit of a donation goal there, where for every death that I end up taking, I was going to end up putting in $25. So I'm already $25 down at this point, which is, I mean, in a game like this here, which can be a little bit iffy sometimes, I am committing I'm committing potentially quite a lot of money here, Damo.
So basically, the more worse RNG, the more money for charity, which is, that's a victory right there. So.
Well, you know what? I figure either way, I don't want to waste people's time here. So, either way, I'm going to be able to either donate to charity and, to a good cause, or I'm going to go fast here, and preferably I do both. So
pull off the greatest run of all time, or
I mean, I don't want to say there's a chance, but there is definitely a chance here. So as we'll note, this is actually starting to become quite the unrelenting seed here, and there's $50. There we go. I'd love to see it. Wonderful stuff. You'd think that I would be well prepared for that at this point, that I know exactly what's coming in, but no, this is actually quite a difficult one here.
Yeah, despite even knowing what's going to happen. Like, it's just still a testament to the idea that this game is not as simplistic as it looks.
I love the fact, though, it's like
hours.
I can put in all this time into this game here, and there is still the reason why I just despise the RNG game mode the complete most here. Because sometimes it can just do this to you where it's just like, yeah, I mean, you know what? You're just dead.
Well, that's also why, like, routing level-wise, we'd be doing this first. Get the biggest part out of the way early on.
Yeah, that's a great point there. So the reason why we route this second is instead of first is because the game mode that we start on there is something that you have to do, and you have to place down many towers. It's actually faster to get that out of the way first, because you can't defend everything there unless you put down all those towers first. So you save about 5-10 seconds there by getting that out of the way. Now, whether that's worth it in the long term there, I suppose that's depending up to the person, on whether they waste their time or not. However, for me, I don't mind wasting my time all that much, so I like to be able to just chuck it out the run there. And the good news for me is that even though I have taken 2 deaths at this point, there is probably, I don't know if I can still get world record at this point. It might be a little bit close. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed here, that I might actually be able to progress past the random bit here and be able to actually move on to the bit where I've actually practiced a lot demo. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
It's very hard to practice RNG, so it would be fantastic. But yeah, I mean, if we get this out of the way, it's smooth sailing for a while, and we can show off a lot of cool stuff. So.
That's it. And trust me, I've got the cool stuff coming up here. The cool stuff I've pretty much front-loaded into the beginning of the run here. So, even though it's like, oh, wow, look, he's taking a lot of deaths here. Trust me, the cool stuff is definitely coming up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a little bit of a detour, and I'm going to end up getting a spy factory down. Because it turns out that while this seed has been completely unrelenting, I will instead choose to do the little baby boy strats instead of trying to get the money down. And I don't even know what the late game looks like here, so I mean, I might just get completely screwed over. I no way of knowing.
I fully believe. I think we'll be fine. And baby strats is totally fine to do as well. Sometimes we want to go fast, but to go fast, sometimes we need to go slow.
Look, I mean, I'm going to completely be honest with you here. I came into today with the mentality that I wanted to get a world record. Now, while that may not be the case anymore, I still highly believe that I want to try to save as much of the tournament organizer's time as possible here. So
we could still get a world record for the highest amount of money donated by the own runner's incentive because of how many times they failed something.
Yeah, but I mean, how good does that look for me, you know?
It looks very good. It's a very honourable gesture.
Is it now?
Putting on a show and donating money to charity, so.
I'm glad. Yeah, well, you know,
Look at this guy slice.
Exactly. So Sauda, I guess we can talk about the hero here a little bit. Sauda's a great early game hero. That's why that's so unrelenting, dude. Look at that. Look at this wave. Okay, so here's the thing, right? This is what I was talking about before. There are just some of these RNG rounds that are just completely unwinnable. Like, you cannot win some of these seeds here at all. And that, I guarantee you, couldn't win that one at all.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do instead is we're going to exit out and we're going to restart here. Now, the bad news is we have no idea what's going to come up here. The good news is that because we've exited out, come back in, started up again, it's a completely different seed. So we will now no longer get that. However, I've wasted like 15 minutes in the process.
It's just the reality of running a game like this as well. Variance in RNG in most games can be like, maybe I get this strat and I save 5 seconds. But in a run like this, as you said, it could be as quick as 3 to 5 minutes or as late as 15. It's just part of the process.
And you'll see with this one as well, Damo, as you look up at the round timer here, it's going much slower. Much slower. This is the sort of run here that you're like, yeah, I'm probably going to end up resetting on this one here depending on how long it takes, because there are just some times where it's just like, hey, game wants to go fast, we'll go fast. Game wants to go slow, we'll go slow. And that one there, which was just like, ooh, that was not a good seed for us at all. So, you know, sometimes best just to cut your losses here, try to go for a reset. That's all well and good. Yeah, so pretty much what we're going to do now is we're just going to end up farming it up here. I'll try to...
Did we explain the fail condition? So obviously if enough balloons get past the circuit that it is, in the top left obviously you can see his lives up there. So for every balloon that gets out, I believe it's 1 per balloon no matter the strength of it. So
actually that's a little bit incorrect there, Damo.
Looks like I set him up to explain.
There we go.
The difference is.
There's these red balloons here, these are the 1 health balloons, right? And then these pink balloons here, those are the 5 health balloons. Now, everything has different damage calculations throughout this all. So it is, you know, particularly damaging when, you know, these pink balloons that are also fast and damaging come through here. Those are the sorts of things that you kind of want to avoid in the first place. So yeah, damage calculations do matter. Also, your hero here has got different abilities. As you can see, Leaping Sword does have the ability to just place anything on the map here as like a little bit of a blockade there. That's pretty much what we're trying to do this entire time, is just blockade anytime these things get out a little bit too far. One thing to note here as well is we're playing on the map Workshop. And Workshop is a little bit of a difficult one because these balloons, they move 50% faster than they do on any other map. And it's a complete straight line. So they are just beelining straight for the exit at this point here. And they are just going to try to just demolish your life total. So you'll see us do some really different strats depending on what we end up coming up against, simply due to the fact that it's, well, sometimes you just have to play a little bit safer on a map like this. Now these 2 buttons up here as well, this one up here can slow down the entire track. So that will slow it back down to normal there. So you might think that's great. However, after the first usage here, it costs money. And as someone who is, I'm a bit of a stinge. I don't like to pay too much money. So what we're going to do is
That's why we put a very expensive donation on every failure.
That's it, you know. Yeah, well, of course. It's for a good cause, though. You know, it's a worthwhile sort of thing there. So we're going to try to minimize our usage of these buttons here, and they're going to be very strategically timed. But the unfortunate thing is, though, with the last seed there, even if I do slow it down, even if I do buy myself more time there, it's just going to end up being death. So, yeah, not the greatest. Thankfully, this one has given us a lot of time to be able to have just a nice, relaxing chat, you know, just be able to, you know, just...
This one's been a lot more relaxed.
That's it.
Than the
but
last time.
As you can see, it's gone a lot slower as well here. So this is what I'm talking about, is that some of the seeds here, these are just nice little bit of a, you know, get yourself in a nice position there, you know, wiggle your butt around.
I've got one leg up over the other one.
That's
I'm
it, you
settled
know,
in, yeah.
Get a little bit comfy in your seat there, because this one might take a little bit. The good news, however, though, Damo, is that while this may be the case, these rounds will end up speeding up a lot, in particular past around 40s here when the mobs can start to come out. Because typically those rounds are just one Moab. Next round, one Moab. Next round, one Moab. So it can be, in particular, it can be quite dangerous indeed. Now, thankfully, this one has given us enough time to be able to greed up a nice little marketplace here. And this is pretty much all that we're going to be using for our farming for the time being. I might be able to greed one more out, but, I mean, you know what? I think I've learned my lesson in terms of greed there, so I'm going to just...
We may have been conditioned to be a bit safer.
That's it, you know what?
Get out of here.
You know, I mean, look, past a certain point here, I will be going for some very risky strategies later on in the rounds here, especially in the different game modes. But for the time being here, I suppose I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, we have. We've all learned a very important lesson. That's don't trust RNG.
That's it.
And,
yeah, it was the real RNG, the friends we made along the way.
I'd say we built a very strong bond while sitting up here the past 15 minutes staring at this conveyor belt.
Yeah, I mean, the conveyor belt will definitely be a recurring segment here. Conveyor belt here, this is not going to change at all. So these lead balloons here that would usually be a bit of a menace at this point, we now have no longer got a problem with them because we've got the appropriate defense up at the back. Doesn't even matter if they end up sending anything here. And this introduces us to our new friend, the Spike Factory. The Spike Factory is incredibly good on a map like Workshop where there's only one exit. And the Spike Factory is going to be our best friend.
It can also be our worst enemy.
How so?
A lot of the time as well.
How so?
Because of the chance that when it fires the spikes, they can arc in a way, right? Isn't this the one where we've seen multiple runs die because it just misses a balloon?
I mean, okay. There is a very, very small chance.
That's a chance. That's a bit of a chance.
It's a very small chance. It definitely could. I have had runs before that have just died due to just one balloon getting through there when it's supposed to not. So, I'm not going to lie. It could happen. But the likelihood of it happening there, incredibly unlikely.
Oh, you should not have said that.
Incredibly.
Yeah, no, you gotta stop talking about the spike machine.
Incredibly unlikely.
All right. Well, I trust you.
So with spike mines here, I want to say we're pretty much near unkillable at this point. We've given up our pretty much only source of farming. But now as the rounds start to get a little bit faster paced, I need these out here. You may note that the Spike Factory would usually end up despawning the spikes at the end of a round. However, in Apocalypse mode, that is not the case. So we want to try to keep these around for as much as possible, which is why exiting out for us before was so detrimental. Yep. Is because when you exit out, you lose all of those extra little defenses that you would usually have there, which is, you know, in relative terms, that's not good.
No, it's not good at all.
So we're going to get a Moab Assassin out here, and the idea here is that we're just going to pretty much try to soften up the defense here as much as possible. The balloon sends are starting to come a little bit faster here, as you may note. There was two rounds just gone through just like that there. That's pretty good. You know, ideally I don't want any of these rounds here. Instead, I want to just see more of this coming through at this point. You know, it's just, I just want there to be just a heck of a lot of damage to these spike piles here. Now, I just got to make sure, and I do kind of have to make sure that we don't end up dying here for no good reason whatsoever. So pretty much what I'm going to use is any mob assassins that start coming through, or any mobs that start coming through, I'm just going to start blasting. I'm just going to just pull the trigger there.
Started blasting.
That's it, and then I started blasting. So, you know, ones like this here, all right, well, cool. I blew my load there, so, you know, I've got nothing left for the next few rounds here. So I guess I just have to wait for the cooldown. But the good news is
we're about to be
past the RNG.
In a moment.
Any minute now. Any minute now. Look, I just gotta. It's just, yeah, just come on. Come on, dude. Slowest round 60 here.
See, just to add insult to injury, we just had a very slow seed and then the slowest round 60 of all time. Yep. But there we go. We're finally out of the RNG.
And now we also get, so because this is a live service game, turns out that they're running a collection event, which also slows us down as well. Which is just, you know, it's just that little bit of an extra add-on to the injury there. So now we're going to be moving into half cash, and this one is very self-explanatory. We just have half the cash. Now, if that sounds very unspeedrun friendly there, you would be 100% correct. This game mode sucks. I'm not going to try to mince words here. This is going to be a tough one here to try to go fast on, so we're pretty much just going to do pretty much the bare minimum here in terms of going fast. We're just going to try to play as safe as possible here, except for a very particular bit on round 40, where I'm going to have pretty much a few frames to be able to kill a Moab. So the way that this game works is that the Moab has an outer shell. You damage it to a certain point there, and then it splits open into 4 ceramics. We don't want those 4 ceramics to split into more balloons there. And that's the way that it works, is that those ceramics will split into other balloons, that'll split into other balloons, and it's just generally very unpleasant. So we're going to try to avoid that as much as possible by splitting open the Moab layer, but then hitting Sauda's ability here in the sword drop to pretty much precisely kill them all before they can exit out on the end of the map there. To make matters worse here, we're going to use a Spike Factory as our damage. Which is, it's not great.
Yeah, you know my opinion on Spike Factory.
It's not great, because Spike Factory, where it places the spikes here, is completely random. So we can either have some stuff completely up at the front here and then just be able to straight up kill it, or it could all go up the back here, and then I will have a very, very, very small time frame to kill it in, which is not great. However, in the meantime here, we're pretty much just going to try to not bleed as much as possible. You'll see I've got a regenerating shield of lives here thanks to Monkey Knowledge. Monkey Knowledge is essentially just added little benefits that you get through playing the game here. You know, it's kind of got an RPG system going on where it's like, hey, you know, here's some extra points to put into everything that you're going to do there. So that's got that going on. But for the meantime here, because this is so difficult to play regularly, we actually need to get farms up, because even though in half cash these farms will earn half, we still need to earn just enough to be able to afford spike mines, once again, to make sure that we don't die later on. Because it turns out that even though, you know, we have half cash, it turns out that if you get the OP upgrades there, you're pretty good. Now, we're going to get down a sniper here just to be able to save some life. And then we're going to sword drop on this wave in particular, because again, taking damage equals bad. Now, even though we're starting to lose some lives at this point, pretty much the thing that we want to take care of the most here is just our life total. We don't want our life total to fall too low, because there is still a chance that even though we get some fairly suboptimal RNG, that if you play really well, that you can still live it. Like, if you still have a high life total. If you don't have a high life total, you will just die, which is, again, we've already taken it at this point, so I don't really want to continue to do that. So 90 lives is pretty darn good for that. We're going to end up getting a full metal jacket there. This strategy is very particular. We have to be very particular with our timings here to make sure that we don't die straight up to leads there. So the total health pool that takes out is about, say, your entire health pool. So if you end up screwing up there and, you know, mistiming an ability, you will just die. Which is going to be the recurring theme of this run. If you screw up an ability timing, you will just die. So having an extra 25 minutes on top of everything that we're doing here, Damo, incredibly useful. Because, yeah, there is, as you will have noticed already, a lot of chance for us to just die.
Yeah, it's very hard to supply an estimate for a game that has such a heavy amount of RNG.
Especially in the first bit there as well.
Yeah.
That's alright though. We're going to get the white hot spikes down at this point. Again, we're going to be building up to that critical mass of spikes here. You'll notice that they'll reset. Very critical timing on the sword drop coming up here. We want to make sure that we damage as many of them. We need to protect this spike pile because this wave is just... You can't stop all of this wave from happening there. The good news though is that even though, you know, you take a bit of damage here or there, it doesn't really end up mattering all that much. We need to target Sauda on strong. Your towers have different targeting options, which will allow you to be able to target specific balloons. We need to target strong there to make sure that the leads get popped out of everything here, and then the timing is pretty much perfect so that we can do it straight away there as well. Now this is pretty much the easy bit done of the run. And now we get to go into the one fun round here where, you know, everything can go wrong. So, yeah, this next bit here can definitely make or break it. And I made a pact to myself today that I would end up going for this here. So, here goes. Easy.
Nice.
So that's a very tight timing there to be able to hit that, as you may notice. Any slower than that there, the balloons will start to leak out, and yeah, your spike pie will just end up getting overwhelmed there. Do it too soon, however, and again, you will just split it open there into 1,000,001 ceramics, and once again, you will just die. So
becoming the theme of the run. Yeah.
I mean, do I really feel like I'm getting the point across enough here?
No, we should probably mention it just a few more times.
Death. A lot of death. The potential for a bit of death in there as well. The good news, though, is that because of this here, our defense is starting to get slowly but surely, gradually get a little bit better here. We have enough time to greed up for a discount village to be able to reduce some of the towers that we're going to use later on and allow us to afford our spike mines in time. So pretty much the goal here is to just not take a death to this next round. See the 2 ceramics there, put them together. It's easy done. Now we're going to get up another spike factory here. There is a small little chance that you can end up taking damage on 50. We have to do a similar timing to the one that you just saw before on the next Moab that will come through here. But because we have 2 spike piles, it is very unlikely that we will die to it. But there is still a chance.
And we like tempting fate, so especially by materializing the fact that we might fail.
If you haven't already noticed, I love materializing fate. It's such great fun here. Yeah. Thankfully, this is pretty much in my comfort point at this point. There shouldn't be a heck of a lot that goes wrong. I may end up slowing it down just a little bit when it comes time to get ready to buy up our spike mine, simply because it is fairly tight with the timing there. As you may notice, I even messed up the timing there. Yep. I only really took just a little bit of damage in the end, which is always nice. And then we should be pretty safe for the next few rounds here. So the next critical round that we need to be aware of is 54. Now, as you may note, I used the bottom machine here to be able to stop the balloons from coming through here, or to buy a bit of time for the Moab. We haven't really used this top one to slow down everything, but that's about to change because I'm going to use that on round 54 because it's full of ceramics, and there is the chance that, again, because of the way that the build order plays out here, you can just die. It's to the surprise of literally no one. So we're going to slow down here, allow our spikes enough time to pop open here, and then when the mob is about to split, we're going to do that. Now the next wave here, again, pretty much what we need to do is it's about buying as much time as humanly possible for your spike piles to start building up so that you can end up... shoot. Yeah, I forgot. See, I got a little bit distracted there.
So like very, very quickly, we just went from being very fine and stable to... dead.
Yeah, that's it. So if we want to run through a dono or 2 there, that would be great while I end up going back to this here, because that was about 8 minutes worth of progress that we just lost because I just missed one ability there. It's kind of brutal like that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd just like to remind everyone that we are very thankful to have Elgato on as our major sponsor this year. So it's fantastic to have them on board, and they're helping us support the Game on Cancer initiative. Elgato are a world-leading provider of audiovisual technology for content creators that make premium webcams, microphones, Steam Deck controllers, capture cards, and so much more. So thank you again, Elgato.
Wonderful. All right, so even though I took a bit of a restart there, I made a bit of a whoopsie daisy. So you get a free dart monkey at the start of the game here, and it turns out that that sells for exactly $0. And if you sell off the wrong one there, Damo, and you put the wrong one in the wrong spot, you have to restart there again. So what happened in the last round there is, though, even though we had enough time to build up enough of that spike pile there, it turns out that because the wave is just so thick and is so dense that you just... if you don't end up assisting it in some way there, again, you will just die here. Now, even though that's all said and done here, we're pretty much just going to be able to claw our way back very consistently. And again, I will go for the swag strats. Worst comes to worst here, though, I will just end up skipping over 1 or 2 if we are going, like, too far behind. Yep. But the good news is that we front load a lot of the difficulty here. So long as I end up getting past everything that I need to get past here, it should be pretty much smooth sailing, except for one game mode in the end. One game mode that can potentially end up screwing us over, but we'll save that for a little bit later. We'll hold off onto that there. Yeah. So, yeah, do you mind actually? Did I bring my water there?
I'd say this would be yours.
I hope it's not yours, because that would
Yeah,
be
it's a long run. I
that
mean,
would be very awkward.
It would be. Don't worry, I'm pretty sure that's mine. It's a very long run, so it's very important to stay hydrated in a run like this, especially if you're going to be sitting there redoing the past 8 minutes of work.
I mean, yeah, I
you
mean,
missed
at this
one
point,
thing.
this would be like the easiest reset for me at this point, right? But unfortunately, I don't really...
Marathon, no time to reset.
No time to reset here at all. We got gaming to do here. And, you know, as a added bonus there, I believe that's what, like, 75 to charity already? Or have I taken 4 deaths at this point?
I think that is 75 at this point. Yeah, you've had some restarts, but they obviously weren't deaths.
Unless you want
to count them.
I mean, look, my wallet is thick and bustling, but I'm not exactly gonna say that I'm willing to, you know, just give all of it up for charity there, because otherwise I'm going to end up very, very, very poor very, very, very quickly. All right, so
we're
again,
already playing half cash mode, so just
if you couldn't already tell, I'm already fairly poor in the game here as well. Also, fun little factoid. So these banana monkeys, these end up costing in-game currency, right? I've run through so many of these over the past 2 days here that I've almost given myself out of the in-game currency at this point. I had a good 200 stored up before we started today. I'm already down to about 85 or so at this point. So, you know, I'm really hoping that I'm not going to end up, you know, running myself dry, because that would be bad.
pretty awful.
It would be pretty awful to not be able to play the speedrun optimally here, wouldn't it?
How many speed games do you know that have that as a feature, where the run, you might just not be able to play it because you don't have enough money?
I mean... Look, I'm pretty sure. I've actually said to the moderators at some point here that I would love to be able to see just like a wacky, chaotic speedrun where you can just use these insta monkeys at the side here, ones that you can just get instantly powerful monkeys down and see what people come up with there. Because I think that would be a very interesting speedrun, to say the least. It's all right. So we're heading back up to round 36 again here. So I'm going to start preparing some defense. Again, I'm going to just try to get this sword drop timing here down pat, so there's about a good 20 seconds or so. Again, these rounds are completely 100% not random at this point, which is always nice. I do like to prepare not random things. The bad news, however, is that even though I can prepare for a lot of these here, that there is still some times where, especially on a map like this, it is fairly unforgiving. Sometimes a pixel can be the difference between a certain outcome happening and another thing missing, as you'll see in just a minute after I'm done with half cash. So there is just the potential here where it's like, hey, you know what? Even though you got everything almost correct here, even though it's a fairly low input game, Damo. You know, I'm not exactly blazing around the screen here with just all sorts of stuff going on. It is still a little bit execution based, you know, being able to memorize a lot of this different stuff here.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically as well, like in runs where, oh, actually, I'll let
We'll go for the swag drop here again. Yeah, nah, okay. So, I will not go for the swag drop again. All right. I promised myself I would go for it at least once there, but yeah. At this point, this is going to be pretty much all of my spare time used up from this point on, so I have to be a good boy, and I have to not go for the funny speedrun tricks anymore, and I just have to play it very, very, very safe. A death like that costs you about 5 minutes, and in a game that is fairly time-based here, even in a run that is this difficult, the world record is 2 hours and 28 minutes at the moment. I actually beat it in practice there. Unfortunately, that had 2 mistakes, I want to say. Yeah, it had about 2 mistakes there, and those were fairly low-cost times. I believe the fastest possible time you could achieve on something like this here is maybe around a 2:20 if you execute properly. So fairly low time there. However, definitely there is a lot to remember in this sort of run here, because what ends up differentiating this between a lot of the different speedruns that you can do in Bloons is that in a game mode like this, you have to come up with different strategies. Like, for example, on some of the easier maps, you can do kind of the same strategy, right, in terms of a speedrun. Like, everything will work from the beginner to the advanced maps. On an expert map like this here, that's not the case. You don't exactly have that sort of luxury to be able to just say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to go for this completely same strategy, because it just won't end up working here. So you have
so
to
being good at adapting and obviously having a lot of game knowledge on top of that is going to be the difference between someone obviously failing a level or not. And we've seen how much time failing a level can be. So
absolutely,
a completely different set of eyes may have saved an otherwise unwinnable round.
Yeah, definitely. So pretty much what I'm going to do here is, ideally I wanted to be able to show off the majority of this run, but the good news is that to progress, we don't exactly need to do everything. So if worst comes to worst here, I would love to be able to show off the majority of half cash here, but I will probably end up skipping that and moving on to chimps next if the time calls for it. Again, like, I don't exactly know how much the estimate that we've got left over here, but I can't afford to run overtime anymore, so you know, it is what it is in terms of that. In terms of the amount of practice, though, this one can be fairly unforgiving. I practiced a fair amount here to try to make sure that the run would end up working, but, you know, sometimes, you know what it's like, Damo. Sometimes when it comes to tournament nerves, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you're not on your game there. And thankfully the cooldown here will come up in time, though, even though I made a little bit of a whoopsie-daisy there. Alright, so
I do want to point out that very clutch sword drop that you did on the very end of the conveyor belt there.
So again, because we have to end up saving as much health as possible here, you know, I will try to maximize the amount of sword drops that I get down just to be able to prevent my shield from taking too much damage there. Like those little leaks there, you can't really do much about those there. Again, because of slightly different positionings that we get down here, you can't be pixel perfect every single time here. You know, being able to move around the screen here is definitely a very important skill, you know, being able to optimize everything. However, there has to be some leeway here or there simply because, again, no one's perfect, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially in a game like this. Very, very, very hard to be 100% consistent every time. It's kind of different to like a lot of other speed games where it's very much point A to point B, and we know exactly how we're getting there, and this is a lot of improv. So.
Let's talk about that crash run before, right? So we had a Crash Bandicoot 2 run. What would a mistake in that cost you?
Well, multiple times maybe, maybe a small mistake. We're looking at like 10 to 15 seconds typically.
Yeah.
A run-killing mistake is maybe a 2-minute time loss.
We have run-killing mistakes literally every few seconds, then if that's the case.
Yeah.
Nah, it's all good. All right, so potential run-killing mistake here. Let's not run-kill ourselves here, shall we? There we go. So again, a little bit of damage there. That's fine. The spikes will build up enough there. And you were talking about that arc before. That is actually one of those positions where if a spike pile ends up firing at the wrong time there, you don't get enough spikes to be able to hold that off perfectly. Fun little fact for you.
Do you have a favorable position where you want this spike machine to put the spikes out? Because obviously it can put them all the way at the back or at the front.
Depends. It really depends on the what round it is here. So for example, in the next round here, I would rather prefer, on round 40, I'd rather prefer them to all be up front so I can have enough time to be able to say, okay, cool, I'm going to be able to sword drop this here and be able to just have enough time. However, that is not always going to be the case here. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of a different... See, look how... It's so weird. It's so weird. See, look at how slow...
Strats in my speedrun.
Look at how slow it is, Damo.
Oh, God. Okay, fine.
But there we go. All right, cool. So we got that there. So, not exactly my proudest moment. I'm not happy with that. But
the run is alive, and we are seeing round 41 right now. Do you think you'll go for the second one, obviously being a bit more leeway, or?
Well, that one you have to go for again. You know, it's the case where it's like, hey, you can either go for it there, or you can either end up leaking a heck of a lot of health there. So I like to do the one where we don't end up leaking a heck of a lot of health, especially since our leeway here is a little bit less than we had last time going into this. So, we're just going to have to go for it there. Again, usually the way that it works is if you delay it later, there's a chance that you end up living more. But if you end up splitting it early and you produce so many balloons that your spike pile just gets overwhelmed, then there is nothing that you can do. As we'll see here, even though we end up taking a bit of damage there, we are alive, and that is what matters in the end here. that is one of the rounds in particular, round 46, that is a little bit more on the RNG side here. Though, if I end up playing everything perfectly, which I should.
Which you will.
Which I will. There will be pretty much no other chance for us to end up taking any more damage past this point here, as it's pretty much all sorted. It's just that when we end up missing an ability like that last sword drop there, that is just, it's just unfortunate. It's just like one of those things.
Very
it's just like, what can you do, right? Pay better attention.
Well, the only thing you can do is sword drop better. Which,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is pretty true. So, for example here, I'm just going to do it. We're just going to make sure that we don't end up making a bit of a whoopsie-daisy there. Alright, so coming up in the 50s here again, we're going to amass our spike pile at this point. And then that's pretty much the last purchase that we're going to end up making outside of perishing potions here to be able to give this some uptime here on the Berserker Brew. Berserker Brew, best tower in the game, by the way. Being able to buff up a tower here is with extra +1 damage. Very strong. Oopsie doodle, that's the wrong key. Don't want to press that one. Yeah, being able to buff up a tower here with a little bit of an extra power boost there is incredibly important for this run, as you'll see coming into the next game mode. And on 54 here, we're going to activate reverse motor. Just nice and slow it down there. We have to use the sword drop on the first one there, otherwise we won't have the ability up for the second one here. And there we go. So we're going to end up selling this off at this point. We have no more use for the village. And then we have to sword drop on this last one, unlike we did last time there. And we're all good. So now we have to end up selling off this farm here in just a moment after we've gotten the most amount of cash out of it possible. And then there we go. We should be in the clear now. Let's go.
The amount of micromanagement also in a run like this is really impressive. If you were watching this run with no knowledge or none of Frosty's very amazing commentary, then things would fly by so fast. You would have no idea what's going on.
That's it. Now,
there's quite a lot happening.
Fun little factoid here. You'd think in a speedrun demo, right? Like, you'd want the balloons to go as fast as possible, yeah?
Yeah, and that would make the rounds go faster.
That's right,
so.
But in this run we get a glue, which slows Bloons down, which doesn't really make a lot of sense.
No.
However, until you realize that Sauter has the ability here to end up damaging balloons that have got a little bit of extra oomph on them here, aka a bit of glue on them, which turns out to be very, very useful in the bit where we don't want to die. First of all. And second of all, the extra damage that ends up pumping out there is actually perhaps one of the best ways of, you know, saving it there. As you'll see, the mobs end up not going through there now, and instead end up getting busted up here. So that is the way that we end up playing this out. Really critical here. We're going to sword drop the. We're going to sword charge. That's Sauter's second ability. It's a screen clear that we're going to end up using there, and then we're just going to end up clearing off the rest of this wave. Again, we want to protect our spike as much as possible. Now, at the start of this wave here, we're going to end up using a sword drop there, and with the extra damage that Sauter gets from all of this here, that's going to be able to clear up everything perfectly. And at this point, that is pretty much the last thing that can kill us. Except. There is, in practice, so remember that mob assassin I was using earlier? The one that ended up dealing with the mobs pretty much instantly there. Yeah, that can kill you. That can kill you in the way that if you don't time it perfectly against the red ones there, which split into the blue ones here, that can end up producing enough to kill you. So you want to end up doing it perfectly so there's about 1 or 2 shots in between there. If you do it instantly, you will die. As I apparently I didn't know that before I was doing my testing literally hours before this point, in which case I found out very quickly and I was like, huh.
We may have just saved ourselves an extra, must be like 12 minutes by now probably into this. Would hate to find that out the hard way.
Yeah, at this point it's about 12-ish minutes into this run. And as you may notice here, because we have such a fine defense up at this point, there is pretty much nothing that can make it through. Again, so long as we don't forget our abilities and make sure that everything goes smoothly. So we don't want to ability this here. However, when the mobs start appearing up here, Spike Mines is just really good at dealing with a heck of a lot of balloons. So we make the most out of that there by trying to pretty much pop open this as soon as possible, and then just clearing it all up here. So another sword drop there, and then we're just going to sword charge this here just for a little bit of safety. Again, I don't want to take an unintentional death as well, and that's just a really good way of just guaranteeing the fact that we're not going to be able to do that. So with this assassin here, it's just going to help up clearing up here. Now, very critically, I want to save this for the next one after 75, because 76 is just a gigantic ceramic wave, and we've seen how deadly those can be, Damo.
Yes.
Our defense can handle it to a certain point there, as I'm sure you will have noticed here, but there's only so much that it can end up handling here, so we're going to have to end up just scaling it back just a little bit. Now, very critically, I'm going to wait on that one there to make sure I don't die.
It's probably key. Right.
So I can't press this button here at all, even if this does look very scary, because for the next biddy here, I have to do this, and then we just have to clear all of that up. Very simple sort of stuff there, but, you know, it's that sort of thing where if something does end up going wrong, which, you know, eventually, you know, you can slip up, right? If something does end up going wrong there is the temptation that you will have just this emergency button that you can press, but you have to end up just hard-coding it into yourself that you cannot do that, because, you know, these mistakes will end up just compounding into something that you just can't handle. Now, with that being said, that is pretty much the last threat that we're going to have on half cash there, so thankfully we will be past this game mode at some point in the near future. However, the damage to my reputation at this point is pretty much unspoken and very, very great, as I'm sure that when I get home, my chat will be very kind to remind me of, hey, do you remember that time where you ended up screwing up there so badly that you end up costing yourself about, what, like 20, 30 minutes at some point here?
I think your reputation has grown.
No, I genuinely.
I think it has. It's not easy doing this up on the live stage.
I know you're trying to make it a little bit easier on me here.
Oh, I don't have to try. I know it's
oh no,
it's nothing. Oh no,
I think you definitely do have to try.
Now look at this.
Damo, you're a fine lad, but
there we go. We're out.
All right, cool. So if that wasn't bad enough, now we get to go into Chimps here. And Chimps is a really interesting game mode because Chimps just has this wonderful little thing here, because it is the kind of the gatekeeper of a lot of these game modes, where all the luxuries that you have for yourself here, you no longer get those anymore in Chimps. So you cannot earn a continue. You have to start again. So the thing I've already been doing there, I've already been doing that. No more extra hearts again. So 1 health. You have to play perfectly. There is also no extra income. No monkey knowledge, which is the big one here. We really like monkey knowledge. And also, on top of that, there is no powers, so I can't use banana farmer. Don't really care about that one there. But there's also no selling. And no selling turns out to be a kind of big one here, because selling is good. Selling is real good in a video game like this. So we pretty much have to use a set build order, and we have to hit all of our timings perfectly. Again, this is a recurring theme. If we mess up, we have to start again. So, Damo, let's just not mess up, shall we?
Well, see, I don't have the job of not messing up, because I just get to sit here and watch front and center. But so all the pressure's on you, bud.
Oh, you know what? After all of these deaths here that I've already taken here, I'm feeling incredibly relaxed. You know, it's like a weight is lifted off my shoulders at this point. You know, it's like, I've already screwed up badly. How much better?
How much worse can it get?
How much worse could it possibly get at this point here?
And then this is when the scripted death happens and everyone claps and laughs, and then
that's it, you know, and we all play the laugh track there, you know, the 80s sitcom one there. That's what we'll do at this point.
So would you say this is the most like pure game mode in the, obviously, because it's, as you said, we can follow like a build order for this. There's not much, I guess, in terms of the RNG and all that. So
no.
It's and also we don't have a lot of options.
No.
So.
Oh, it is absolutely the most pure thing.
Yeah.
In a game like this, income is completely busted, right? Like, income will change up how you play this game 100%. So when we take away that ability to make the extra income there, we just have to make do with what we're given, right? So we've got a very critical sword drop coming in just in a bitty here. I need to make sure that I hit that. There we go. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to buff up Sauter for the first biddy of this run, just simply so that we have a very nice defense for our spike pile. And then we go to do that thing where I get to be greedy. But this, it's calculated greed, you know? It's not the bad kind of greed, it's the good kind of greed. Now, I will say that there is, again, there is a very small chance that I die. But it would be very unlucky. Alright, this one is actually unlucky because what can happen is that you see this buff that the Alchemist is applying here. This buff on round 30 can in fact go away. And if it goes away and the Alchemist is not targeting properly and Sauter doesn't end up catching all of this here, it can run into the spike pile if there's not enough. Thankfully it didn't happen, so we don't have to worry about that. But you can die, which is, it's great. So we're going to end up applying our discount to the bigger stacks here. This is one way that you can end up gaining a little bit of money back in a game mode like this here is, I mean, it's not making extra income, it's just, you just save a little bit. Now, we're not out of the woods yet because there are there are a few dangerous moments coming up here. I'm going to switch Sauter to last. Now, I'm looking for on round 35, the end of the wave, because I need to sword drop here at the end of the wave so that the incoming wave on 36 doesn't end up killing me with the timing here. And then I need to purchase spike balls immediately. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end up, you know what? We'll hit the timing there. Oh. Oh, just enough balls left.
Yeah, that was very close.
Just enough balls left.
Just a reminder that in this mode, of course, one balloon getting through is... we only have one life, so...
That's it. We only have one life. Thankfully, that is the nice biddy there is that now that we have spike balls up, we're all good in the hood there until round 40. Because guess what, Damo? You remember that swag drop that I did before?
Yeah.
There's another one.
No, that can't.
There is.
How many more?
This is the last one. We only do one of them in half cash, and we do one of them in chimps here.
Okay.
However, this one is significantly easier. We have a lot more timing because we have a lot more extra defense. So I get to end up playing this one just a little bit faster here. We love this bit here where the balloons end up going there because I can just end up doing that and the ceramics will pop open and it's no problemo. At this point here, we're going to get up a second spike factory because, again, I like to not die. Again, not dying is pretty good.
Yeah.
And trying to go fast on a map like this here pretty much comes down to, hey, it's impossible to defend all of this here, so you know what, let's just try to not die as much as possible. Even though that looked close, it wasn't. You just have to trust me, bro.
Even I thought that was really close. I was like one step away from... Yeah, saying, yeah, it's almost over. I guess not, you're in control.
There is going to be a lot of that here coming into the later parts of this where it's just like, hey, it looks like you're dead, except, haha, just joking, bro. I was not, in fact, dead all along. So, you know what? Let's just... as hard as it may be, Damo, you're going to have some faith in me here. So, like, for example here, this looks bad, right? Like, we're running out of sparks there.
This looks really bad.
We're not, actually.
It's over.
No, it's fine. We're all good. There's pretty much, again...
Such a professional.
You see
the IQ required to play a game like this must be in the double digits.
Oh, you know what? Some may say it's the triple digits, but yeah, I don't want to put words into people's mouths here.
Absolutely not.
So we love spike mines, right? Spike mines, as we saw in the last run, pretty great upgrade. So what we're going to do is, what if we just got more of them?
Well, I think that'd be really good.
I think that would be really good as well. You know what? I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to get some more spike mines here.
Is there a chance that those spike mines will also be turned into pineapples like these other ones here?
Yeah, these are the pineapples. And they're grilled pineapples as well at that. So that is pretty darn good, hey?
Have you ever had grilled pineapple before?
I've... it's pretty alright. I don't mind some grilled pineapple here or there. So what we got to do now is, in this little time frame here, while we got a bit of downtime here, as the balloons will just nicely run into my defense, we got to get up double village really quickly, and it's a little bit of a tight spot here. As you can see, the placements here can be a little bit unforgiving here. We need to make sure that Sauter has the jungle drums buff. It's a attack speed buff for every tower that's in range there. We need to make sure our Sauter has it to make sure that we have enough damage later going into later. So yeah, we want to make sure that we end up hitting that. Now, a fun little thing that ends up happening here is we're going to sword drop there pretty much immediately. We're going to activate reverse motor just to buy us just enough time there to make sure that we don't die. Again, a little bit of a safe strat that we end up doing there. It doesn't really end up affecting the run all too much. And then we're going to get our good friend, the Moab Assassin, up once more, just to make sure that we don't end up dying there. It's pretty good. Fun little fact, this is what we end up using here simply so that we can save a little bit more time. It's not required in the build. In fact, it's because the new tech is coming through here. We end up getting this here because it's just slightly faster than a lot of the other options. We're also going to get another glue here, not because we want to be safe or anything like that, it's just because it's actually just more damage by doing things this way. We're going to wait for the 5th one to come out here. Now, if memory serves me, this is the 4th one here, and then we're just going to press this here, and then we're all good. So there's little timing things like that there. That's where you save the majority of time in Bloons, you know. It's not exactly something where you get a lot of options, right? So on this one here, we're going to activate and then blow that up there to make sure that we get the perfect timing, and then we're all hunky-dory. Now, Spike Mines is really, really good in these next biddies because we're able to buy just enough time. We're going to work our way up to a tack zone, aka the bone zone, as you'll see up in the top left here. Love the little nicknames you can give your towers in this game.
So something that's really crazy about this level is how intense this build order process is. I know you mentioned like very early in the run that there's a lot to memorize.
Oh, absolutely.
And just saying that there's a lot to memorize doesn't really mean that much until you see just how much has been going on. And we're only on round 63.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So,
and this is one of the things is this is a very intense sort of way to play the game here as well, where a lot of these rounds you could probably end up, say, not doing half of the things that I'm doing here, and you might be able to get away with it in a regular map, but on a expert map like this here, you do have to do everything that I'm doing here, as I'm sure you've seen before, otherwise you will just end up not being able to clear it off here. Yeah. Now, this is where we end up showing how good Spike Mines is, and Sauda's ability to sword drop will just instantly end up clearing off all of these here as well. Again, the bigger the balloon is, the slower it moves. So we don't want big balloons to be on screen here. We'd rather them be into ceramics instead. So we end up popping the abilities open here, and we allow our defense to actually end up clearing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait a few shots there, end up blowing that up there.
and then immediately.
Layer skips there. That's perfect.
Thanos snapped out of the game.
That's exactly why we end up getting this a little bit sooner in terms of the build order. You know, a safer build order would be to just go immediately into attack zone there. Because our money is so tight here, you do kind of have to, it's almost like you have to budget it out. You know, it's like, here's how I want to play safe, and here's how I want to play really aggressive. So in terms of trying to speedrun this map, it's all about trying to find those little wins, right, where it's like, hey, I can end up using this here, and, you know, end up saving just a little bit of extra time there just through doing that. Again, that looks close. Trust me, it's not close.
Every single time you've mentioned that, I've thought at that moment that, wow, that was almost over. But
no, again, you see,
you're in control.
You just gotta trust. See, look, again, might look bad, but it ain't bad. Just like this, you know, it's like just little things like that, right? So, I guess the the fun bit is you're gonna have a blast in the 90s here. That's where things start to ramp up just a little bit. We're gonna start to see spike piles get very, very low unless I hit ability timings here. So
which I have full faith that you.
Yeah, have fun with that. But the good news is we're gonna get our tack zone up here, and this is really gonna help us clear off this next wave. 75 in particular can be a bit of a doozy here for a lot of the regular builds that you'd end up doing. The good news is that we're just going to clear that off. We're going to buy a little bit of time. And again, you remember that bit where I said that I absolutely cannot press this sword charge button down here?
Please don't tell me you're actually going to press.
I have to press it there. But I can't press it unless I have that wave done. So we're going to get into Embrittlement here. Embrittlement is a very special tower. We talk about buffs a lot, right? Well, there's also debuffs that you can apply to balloons. You know, Tack Zone here is a very fast-firing tower, and Embrittlement means that any towers or any balloons that come into range here will take 1 damage more. So, you know, nice little wombo combo. Alchemist in particular as well will allow us to, you know, give +1 damage here. So pretty much what we're doing is we're just relying on very fast-hitting towers to be able to get the most out of what we're doing. Now, going into this next little bitty here, I'm going to put down an Alchemist, and this is where a little bit of tech comes in. We're going to use an unstable concoction because this allows us to apply a lot of AoE damage very quickly. On a map like this here, Damo, a common strategy that you'd find a lot of players do is try to stall out as much as possible. You know, they use spike factories that build up a ton of it here. We don't have that luxury because we need to go fast. So the way that we do that is I had to, actually, fun fact, I went onto YouTube. I went onto YouTube. I was just like, you know what, somebody's got to come up with a really good guide here. And, you know, there's got to be something there. And you know what? I would love to remember the name of the person that came up with this build here. You know, I want to claim that it's mine. It's not mine. But whoever...
But it's someone's, and they're out there.
Whoever that person is, I would just like to say, thank you for making the most speedrun-friendly possible workshop build, because, my God... I don't think a lot of people understand just how difficult routing a lot of this game is, because especially on a game mode like this where there are so few players, in fact, you know, being the only one to run chimps on this map is, you know, well, I mean, it's a little bit lonely, but it's very difficult to come up with original strategies here, and you will often spend like weeks and weeks just trying to plan out how to go quickly on some of these maps. So just having something out there, it just has a reference point, can be incredibly helpful to try to save as much time as possible. It's like if you were to start speedrunning Crash tomorrow, right, and there were just no guides online about how to move fast, you probably wouldn't be moving very fast in the end, would you?
No, not at all. That's also like a reason why Speedrun is a very community-driven thing at the end of the day. So if you're most of the community, then hey, you're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
That's it. So we're going to upgrade our brittle into a super brittle at this point. Now, it used to deal 1 damage, a debuff to 1 damage there. It's now a debuff of 4 damage. So the idea here being we are going to deal a lot of damage very, very quickly. Very important to note, however, is that I do need some more defense coming up here, simply because even though our defense is very, very good, it is going to start to fall off just a little bitty here. So I'm going to need to not necessarily play safe by any means, but more a case of I'm just going to need to make sure that I can play measured, is probably a good term that I would use there. It's very measured play. So we're going to get a second spike mines up at this point because, I mean, let's be real, Damo, why not, right? Like, it's
just add more.
That's it. Just
it's
one
doing
more.
A good job.
Just one more, right?
Have we explained the icy guy here in the middle?
Yeah. So what we're going to do here is that this is very critical. We're going to end up sword dropping this here, and then we're going to sword charge immediately. And now you'll see that spike pile there. Again, it looked bad, but this is the fun bit. It looks bad, but you just have to trust me, bro.
I'm in full trust.
You're in full trust?
Yeah, I'm just going to sit and watch.
You're in full trust. All right.
Every single time every spike disappears, I have a little bit of a freak out.
That's it. And I just want to be the first to say, it only gets worse.
Well, it's only 6 more rounds.
It's 6 more rounds, but as you may notice here, there's a lot. There is definitely a lot in a lot of these rounds here, and as you may note, look at this spike pile there.
Yeah.
Look at this spike pile. It gets real close.
And we just need 1 balloon to go through.
That's it, just 1 balloon. So, but again, that's why you just got to have faith here. So that's why we use the appropriate amount of stall. So what we're going to do here is we're going to sword drop pretty much immediately. We need to switch Sauter back to first at this point because, I mean, yeah, at this point, if the balloons end up starting to make it through, it's kind of bad.
Yeah.
So we're just going to try to ability as much as possible, as soon as possible here. And again, protecting our spike pile is the #1 priority. As you'll see, this round is fairly forgiving for the most part. 96 is nice, and then we get our mob eliminator. What we're going to do here is we're just going to end up spamming out this ability as much as possible. This is a really, really high damage tower, and it ends up just destroying it. But on this wave in particular, this is where I died in my practice runs because I didn't end up activating a heck of a lot of the stuff going on here. We're going to need pretty much everything that we can get our hands on to make sure that we don't die to this gargantuan wave of just absolute tomfoolery. And I died to 99 there because I forgot to sword charge there. Very unfortunate. Again, in a particular position like that there, it is pretty much down to if your ability cooldowns come up. We're going to have to skip over that one for the time being, and we're going to have to move into alternate Bloons rounds. Pretty much the way that ends up finishing up there is pretty much you just go into a mob eliminator there, and you just end up beating it all up. So alternate Bloons rounds at this point is a little bit of a different game mode, and by different I mean it's just harder. It's just harder. So there's all these different effects that you can have on Bloons, right? So for example, camos and regrows are just tower types that you usually either can't see or are just really annoying to deal with here. And they add just a ton of them into this game mode. So what we have to do is we have to just play around that as best as we can, which is going to result in us, you know, switching up the build order just very slightly here. Usually in a hard game mode, you want to try to focus on a money-making hero called Benjamin. We've been focusing on Sauter for this entire time, so we are just going to have to end up using Sauter for the time being here. But as a compromise, we will alter the build order to be able to get a farm up first, to be able to make enough money so that we don't end up dying later on there. These, again, can be a little bit tight in the rounds, so we want to make sure that we get as much money as possible as soon as possible. The good news is that our good friend, the Druid of the Jungle, will end up coming back, and the Druid of the Jungle is the most cruisy, easy mode tower because it pops everything.
Really rolls up the tongue. Druid of the Jungle.
I know, right?
I like listening to you say that.
Yeah. The bad news for me is that because I complained about this tower enough, I got it nerfed.
You personally got it nerfed?
I personally got it nerfed.
Well, you guys know where to direct any future complaints.
I mean,
not to the devs, but to this man.
I'm not going to say that I think it's a bit of a stretch to say I personally got it nerfed. However, there have been a lot of towers that I have complained about in the past that have received nerfs. So, yeah,
I
just
think the next
saying.
thing to complain about is round 99 on chimps.
No, that's just an unfortunate death there, to be honest. That usually doesn't end up happening. So in a situation like that there, what I would end up usually chalking that up to would be something along the lines of Alchemist timing. It is random whether your Alchemist will end up shooting at a certain point or not, and if your Alchemist just doesn't apply the buff at the right time there, you can end up dying. You know, again, sort of thing where you can control it, but it's just you don't always have control over it, sort of a thing. So at this point here, we get to end up getting a farm down. As you may note, Bloons off of the screen. This is a reassuring sight for the most part. We genuinely don't like to see Bloons on the screen. And we're just going to use this time just to try to assemble everything. A camo lead here is a bit of a change-up that they like to put in. Usually it's a regular lead that's in, regular camo that's in that round, but because it's alternate Bloons rounds and the devs decided they wanted to get a little bit wacky, they put a camo Bloon in there instead. So, this entire round is now camo, by the way, just because, you know, they tend to do that a lot with alternate Bloons rounds where it's like, hey, here's this round, you like this round, right? I'm like, no. It's now camo, and I'm like, okay. So we're going to have to end up getting a sniper very quickly there just to be able to deal with the next one, because, I mean, that's the exact same thing. They're like, hey, you like leads, right? I'm like, no. Well, they're now camo leads. Okay.
Yeah, the recurring theme is, do you want this? And you go, no.
Yeah.
But they go, well, here you go.
That's it. That's essentially
Deal with this.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this is. Now, due to the fun timing here that we've got, we're going to end up getting another marketplace because Ninja Kiwi was like, hey, by the way, we are going to just starve you of money over the next few rounds. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up getting our little camo defense. Now, we're going to put a little monkey over at the side here, a little farmer monkey, because it turns out that we're going to introduce a new tower very soon called the Bloon Trap. Now, the Bloon Trap is a bit of a funny tower because the Bloon Trap involves a fun little mechanic called trap resets here, which is just absolutely delightful. We love trap resets, and by love trap resets, I mean there is the potential that it could be pretty disastrous for us. These rounds are not particularly threatening, mind you. We don't really care about these, but we are going to get a Bloon Trap down at the end of the next round. What we do have to do, though, is we do have to end up getting a Mob Assassin down, because a Mob Assassin is somewhat important here. In the fact that a Mob Assassin is going to allow us to instantly kill round 40. Now, what you would usually want to do with a Mob Assassin is you usually want to end up, you know, having it at a certain point and then selling it off so that you can, you know, account for all these mob waves. However, Ninja Kiwi was like, hey, we're going to introduce some more mob rounds, and you can't sell this off. So we're just going to end up getting that down here. Now, because we've taken a few unfortunate deaths at this point, I'm going to end up playing very, very safely. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a spike pile down here, and I'm going to get an alchemist for it here as well, and then we're just going to blow that one up. And this should have enough spikes on it to be able to handle that at that point. Now, we're going to play so safely at this point that, I mean, even I'm going to end up blushing a little bit with how safe I'm going to play it, because I'm going to end up selling off one of these farms here so I can get a spike mines down. And that will pretty much allow us to not die. I would be very surprised if I ended up dying to the next round here. And even the next one after this one. So, just allowing us to buy enough time to get the spikes up there, and then that's pretty much it.
So this is how it kind of plays into like the money routing on the level as well. It's not just what towers or where they are. It's like, for example, selling that shop off got us an earlier upgrade before we could afford it.
That's it.
And then we just chuck it back down as soon as we
Now, the good news is that I will be able to show a lot of that off in the next game mode, which is going to be impoppable. That's where the fun routing came in there before, where, oh boy, we get to show off some really stellar stuff, let me tell you. So we're going to get our trap down now at this point. As you may note, it's going to end up doing a lot of funny resetting. That is intentional by design, because I need to make a lot of money. And trap does is pretty much damages, it's about 1.5, well, it doubles the amount of money that you end up making from around there. So it's very, very useful to end up having. The only downside to the particular build order that we've gone for here is that I have less money now. So pretty much what I need to do is I need to just come up with just a heck of a lot more money. Dude, you know what it is? I figured it out, damn. I figured out what's wrong.
What
else? This keyboard. I'm not used to my keyboard. You know what? I'm not one to make excuses.
Are you blaming the hardware?
I am blaming the hardware, Damo.
Frosty, I don't know if I buy that as an excuse.
You didn't believe it?
No, I really don't think so.
That's unlucky.
Are you saying that this keyboard solely is the reason why we didn't make it past round 99?
Would you believe me if I said yes?
I would, because you're my friend, and you wouldn't lie to me.
Oh, man.
So it's a hardware diff. It's a hardware problem.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Oh, we are.
All right, cool. So what we're doing here is a Miniopolis is pretty much a Monkeyopolis, but with just one farm in it there. And it turns out that it's just so incredibly efficient that it pretty much broke speedrunning. It broke speedrunning in the fact that now you can just have infinite money here and not have to worry about anything pretty much ever.
Yeah, 2 minutes ago we had no money.
And now we have
problems, and now we have all the money and
all the problems. There's still problems.
Some problems.
There are still definitely problems.
Yeah.
Trust me. Look, if this spike pile ends up failing here, there will definitely be problems.
So this is the most literal example of more money, more problems?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Right.
So what I am going to do, though, is I will end up going for a permaspike here, as a permaspike is a very, very useful tower. You know what? I'm feeling particularly safe today. A Spirit of the Forest here is a fast method that we would usually end up using anyway. However, I like not dying, so we're going to end up going for that. Typically what we would end up doing at this point is trying to go for a permaspike to end up clearing off everything here. However, typically a Spirit of the Forest will do the job here anyway.
I mean, what would you say the time loss would be regardless, though? If we're going for a safer strat over...
So this is kind of the thing, right? It's like, there's about maybe 15 seconds in there, right? Yep. I could lose 15 seconds, but because I'm in such a precarious position, the time loss here that I would end up getting from it would just be so much worse. So I'm just going to go, yeah, you know what? I'll just, it's like whatever he's having, I'll just have that, right?
Yeah.
I'll just end up just playing it as safe as I need to here to make sure that we get the dub there. So I'm just going to double tap that. And see, it's just like little things like that there. We're just going to end up double tapping where we can, and that will save us enough time. So we end up putting a spike pile up here as well. Now this one, we said before, those usually end up clearing off after rounds. This one, on the other hand, will stick around for as much as possible for pretty much 2 extra rounds. So what we'd like to do with this one here is, as you'll see here, we place it up the top, and pretty much any time that anything runs into it, it'll die until the balloons are strong enough to be able to power through it. And we like to try to get the most upgraded version of that there to be able to allow us an insta-kill. The unfortunate news is that due to playing on all Bloons rounds here, the Bloons are a lot more powerful, aka they're in their fortified position. So when you see this little banding here, that means that it actually has double the amount of health that it usually would. So that
Which I'm sure is going to be no problem for the absolute defense that we've got set up at the moment.
I mean,
but,
you'd be surprised. I mean, as it just
there's a method
casually,
to it.
yeah, I mean, it casually just waltzes through our defense there. You know,
Because I'm very relaxed. I mean, I'm sitting here and just watching the expert do work, but you know, maybe in your head.
I mean,
like,
a bit of me is looking at this right now, just being like, yeah, I mean, some of these are getting a little bit close
When
to
all these big red ones get on the screen, I'm a little bit scared, but
No. See, look, okay. So this is where we're pretty much past the point of we can die at this point. We're in the safe zone here.
Yep.
Big Trap here is our favorite tower. Big Trap pretty much eats literally everything and anything that comes onto the screen here. Even ZOMGs, the big watermelons that we were seeing before, those just instantly die to this. This is kind of the ultimate tech, where it's like, hey, if you end up getting this down, this is really fast. But there's always a little bit faster, because I haven't introduced our favorite friend yet. But we will get to that one in just a minute. We've essentially cleared off. This is the, what, 4th hard mode that we need to clear off at this point. There's one more hard mode, and that one is going to be the most interesting demo. We've got Impoppable coming up here, and as a bit of a prerequisite, Impoppable had new strategies developed for it yesterday. I got the world record yesterday. They're not the most consistent.
that seems to be consistent with the rest of the game so far.
Wouldn't have been the first now, would it? So, you know what? We're going to switch over to our wonderful hero, Benjamin, here. And this is where things get really, really interesting, because timings are about to get very tight. We don't usually start off any runs with a handy-dandy Dartling here, but Dartling just turns out to be just cheap enough in this spot where we can get just the most out of it. So, Impoppable is a one-life game mode here, but you'll notice that all the prices are significantly raised by like 10% or so, which just turns out to throw our game plan off just enough to make it awkward. So what we got to do here is we got to start off by not going for a hero first, and we got to go straight into a Druid of the Jungle. Now the good news is that we can sell off our towers to make up for it, but the early game can be a little bit iffy. The good news though is that from about rounds 1 to 22, it's all good. Past that point, however, there's about a 20-round gap in there where it can look a little bit awkward. However, we're just going to have to play around that as best as possible here. Ideally, we just get good RNG and we're just good at it. So what we do here is we activate the Dartling's little ability here to be able to just turn on a dime there. It turns very quickly. And that is, again, it's just like you can get bad RNG where it just ends up going past there, and we would rather this little spike pile that we've got at the exit here try to preserve as much health as possible, because going into the later stages of the game where there could be a potential for 1 or 2 leaks, it does make a very big difference. So we're going to get our Druid of the Jungle up now, put it on first here, and this is where things start to get a little bit interesting, because we will do absolutely nothing. And by absolutely nothing, I really do mean absolutely nothing for like a good few rounds here. So if you've got a few donos, now's probably a good time.
We have $5 from Farming Enthusiast 2023. Loving the name changes you're rocking there, Frost. Good luck with the run. In honor of the main category strat of this run, put money towards Farming Simulator 2019.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so
So a little bit of a different thing that we're going for here. We usually put our spike piles down up at the back, but this is a new strategy, so we don't do that. Instead, we put our spike piles down up at the front instead, because, you know, we just like to live life a little bit on the edge here. So what we're going to do over these next few rounds is we're just going to focus up on farming up just a little bitty. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit a very tight timing window where we need to hit exactly greater production here. We're going to greed it out just a little bit, and then we're going to go straight into the Druid here, which is going to allow allow us to pop leads. They ended up changing that just a little bit, where it used to be the case where you could still get away with it, but now in the run you cannot. Now again, we have to hit kind of a tight timing window here where we have to end up going for a ability there. Ben's ability temporarily gives you a tower the ability to pretty much double its fire or double its damage there. However, it comes with the added cost that at the end of it, it will temporarily stall your tower out. So what we have to do is we have to end up going for just enough there that allows us to, you know, save enough time. Now this is where things start to get a little bit interesting because of the way that this tower works. We need to end up refreshing this trap here at the very optimal times, because otherwise we will end up dying. Now this, unfortunately for me, is a little bit of an unfortunate biddy. Need to get this refresh here. There we go. I think we're all good.
Nice.
Yes, we're all good. Okay, thankfully. Okay, so that's the first major barrier right there. So what can end up happening is if that timing is down, we will die. There's just no two ways about it. The spike pile is weak. We've got nothing else going on with it there. It will just die. Thankfully, the Druid of the Jungle allows us a little bit of safety after everything is said and done. So we just get a little bit of time to breathe there. What we got to do now is we got to go for a mob assassin. That is not the correct button. But we're going to have to refresh this trap once more. We're going to give it a tech bot here, just so that we can get it at the first frame. And then we're going to sell that off immediately. And then we're going to get down a second trap. And we also need to make sure that we get some camo down for the next bit here as well. So pretty much what we're going to try to do here is we're going to just try to get our timings down pretty much perfectly. We want the resets to come through there. Perfect. All right, cool. So what happened there is that because the way that the traps are built up here, sometimes if your traps are in a bad position, what can end up happening is that things can really end up getting thrown off by that. So we're going to get another trap up at the back here with the idea that we're going to end up selling off both of these farms here in just a second to allow us to get up a Monkeyopolis very quickly. And this is, again, where things can start to get just a little bit awkward for us. But thankfully, the traps have come down there. The strat is now 100% safe.
Obviously, all the placements as well.
Thank goodness for that.
Bit of a stressful moment.
That is incredibly stressful there. I don't think you understand that. I
literally don't.
I have a lot of deaths to that. There were a lot of deaths in my practice there where it's like, hey, you have this really good run going on. By the way, it's dead because one ceramic leaked and everything that you had going on there is not good enough to be able to deal with it. So just a little bit of relief there, which is always nice, you know.
This is going to go into a point I was going to bring up, that a lot of the tower placements in games like this in general, like tower defense games, are usually very dependent on good positioning with towers. Even more so in this. The screen is obviously getting pretty cluttered. So if anything is just slightly off, you're not going to be able to fit in a tower that you need. Which obviously, that's
absolutely.
A dead run,
so as you'll see up here, even something like this here, you might think it's fairly innocuous, but getting the Spectre up as close to the boundary here as possible and allowing us just the ability to end up clearing everything else is still incredibly important. That's why we have the Spike Factory up at the back, by the way, is just in case, you know, there is just I mean, it's not a very likely chance that something ends up making it through there, but it can happen.
And we've seen a lot of things happen today, so... pretty much everything that could happen has happened.
Oh, absolutely. So this is pretty much the final safety precaution from my end here is just getting a spike mines down to the back here. Thankfully, at this point, even with a Spike Factory, it is, you know, fairly safe. So pretty much all I need to do is just hit, you know, very certain timing windows here and we should be a-okay. Now, what we've got coming up here is we've got a new abilities in Siphon. Siphon downgrades all the Bloons by 1 level here, and it is by far the most overpowered speedrunning tool because it also applies to Moabs as well. So what we can do is that BFBs and ZOMGs, the really big ones there, they move incredibly slowly. But a Moab moves slightly faster, so you want to downgrade it as pretty much as soon as possible. So we need to hit this timing fairly often to be able to do that. So what we need to do here is we need to activate this ability on the first biddy of 63 to make sure that our Spike Factory can actually end up clearing off everything. Thankfully, the timing here is fairly forgiving, as I'm very well aware of just how long it takes. It's just that. There we go. That's no problem. And what we're going to end up doing here is at this point, we're going to just go straight into a Spirit of the Forest. And that's just going to end up saving us just a little bit more time there. And now, as you'll see, Bloons will never make it past. It's pretty much impossible to die from this point. Spirit of the Forest is definitely a death sentence for the Bloons here, or just like any random stragglers. And the reason why we put it so close to the entrance here as well is because, as you'll see, the different tiers of the Spirit of the Forest end up dealing different damages. So if it's really close here, it ends up dealing a faster damage over time. And pretty much what we want to do is we want to maximize that as much as possible. Again, just to save a few frames.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how efficient this is. There's not even a single balloon on the screen
So
right now, and the rounds are flying by.
This is what I mean by, like, this is like near optimal Bloons tower defense. You want to see literally jack all going on in the screen right about now. And again, you'll see there's a BFB at the end of that round. We hit the siphon button, send it down to a Moab, and that's just good business. That is just good business right there. So again, pretty much from this point onwards, it's about just trying to make as much money as humanly possible to make sure that we can go even faster in the end, but also just, you know, balancing that out by the fact that, hey, we still do want to go fast and we want to try to hit, you know, really key upgrades here. So, you know, it's a bit of give and take here or there. Now, thankfully, we've got essentially all the money that we will ever need. I'm going to end up getting another little farmer monkey here. As you'll note, this is a little bit of an expensive run in terms of, hey, look, here's how much monkey money you need to be able to provide. I've already got 3 monkeys down at this point. And that is like 150 bucks, and this is like another, what, 100 in there. So yeah, there's definitely a little bit of cost associated with this here, but I mean, if you're a new player, let's be real, I wouldn't exactly suggest this run to you in the first place, because yeah, it's not very forgiving, especially if you're doing strats like I am here, which is like Spike Factory just at the start. Put your Spike Factories at the back, people. It's not the greatest idea to do something like that, just saying.
Yeah, this is definitely a mix of danger and speed at the same time.
There's a lot. I'd say there's a lot of danger. The speed is optional at this point, I find. You know, speed is definitely not necessarily something that you need to have. Big Trap is going to come up at this point, and with this being said, this is pretty much just a lock-in at this point. We're going to play a little bit of Farm Simulator. Damo, have you played a bit of Farm Simulator before?
Not much, but I've actually been watching a bit of Lawnmower Simulator, which is kind of similar in that regard. Yeah,
I mean, you know what? I think you'll actually relate to Lawnmower Simulator fairly well here, as you'll see that we're just cutting through the Bloons at a fairly efficient rate. It's very satisfying just like that.
Yeah, it is. It's just like a long lawn that has been cut in a while, and now it's all short grass and you know, actually, on the walk to the venue, I was walking past, now that we've got some time to talk.
Oh, thankfully.
I was walking past someone cutting some grass on the topic of lawn mowing.
Very smooth segue.
And it's a great, I love the smell of grass being cut.
What do you think the smell of Bloons smells like?
Look, I'm going to go out on a limb and say rubber. It just smells like rubber burning as it dies to...
Burning?
Burning, yeah.
Burning, even when there's a very sharp little pile in the end there.
I mean, well, there's definitely a lot of gunpowder included with a lot of those weapons you're using at the top. So there's probably some kind of, you know...
I mean, you know what I would like to think? I think you're thinking about this too much. I think you're thinking about the fact that it's, you know, it's Bloons. Well, there's magic in this game, Damo.
Well, yeah, and there's thorns. Apparently, even though that's a grounded thing, it's popping a balloon that's in the air. So
exactly.
And pineapples and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
This whole game honestly is not realistic whatsoever.
Like, what were they even thinking? Oh, you know what? I completely forgot. No wonder I'm a little bit short on money here, Damo. I forgot to get a Monkeyopolis. That would probably have helped.
How could you possibly forget the Monkeyopolis?
I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know. That's definitely something that we were supposed to end up getting.
It's divided our attention a little bit too much with simulator games, but you know, we're back on track.
Thankfully, we're back on track here, and thankfully, something like that doesn't end up mattering all that much. There, it's just a little bit of a hiccup.
This looks very much like we're in a win condition situation, and we're just furthering like our chances of winning, right? Because we're not really losing.
No, no. Trust me at this point. Trust me, we're definitely not losing from this spot, right? Like, we've got Permaspike at this point is essentially a win condition for us. There's pretty much nothing that we can do, or the Bloons can do, to get past from this point here, especially with the big trap down. And, you know, even just little things like this here being like the ceramics, this is why we've come prepared, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start affording some very expensive upgrades like Ray of Doom, which is going to allow us to, you know, again, just maybe shave off a few frames while the big trap is down, right? Like, it's just about just min-maxing essentially from this point on, right? Again, a little bit of a Spectre action in here as well. Why the Spectre is chosen, I honestly wouldn't know. All I know is that other top runner by the name of Summer Pie ends up going for Spectre. Apparently they think it's good. I'm inclined to follow the very sheep mentality that they've got there. So, you know, I mean, if it works for them, it works for them, I guess, right?
Yeah, we just do what works.
That's
at the
it.
End of the day, so.
That's it. I mean, you know, I hope it works at least. I'd be very disappointed
Well,
if it...
let's hope, because we're at 95 rounds into this. So.
Well, I mean, the good news is there that, I mean, you know how I said that there was absolutely zero chance that we could have died there? That was a lie. I mean, if
So
there
that's
was...
another lie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The good news, however, now is that now that I've got this flying fortress down, now it's actually impossible for us to die. It's actually impossible for us to die. We're going to afford some really expensive upgrades, aka Homeland Defense. And what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to just pop everything
Just
very
continue
quickly.
to win, but more efficiently.
Yep, there we go. And that is impoppable there. There we go. All right, good stuff. That was the game mode that I was the most scared of coming into today, which is clearly not where my attention should have been, apparently, because...
well, that says a lot when you've had one mode that was entirely RNG, one mode that was one life with all basic items, and one with half money. Like, it says a lot for that.
So now we're actually coming up on easy demo. Now, you'd think that this would be very easy, right?
Oh, surely it's called easy.
Yeah, it's actually very easy. You'd be right. I wasn't joking. It's actually very easy.
So are you saying that if I just swapped places with you right now, even I could do this?
Yes. Because we're going to introduce our new friend called the Sniper. Now, the Sniper has this wonderful ability that's able to actually shoot balloons off the screen before they even appear in the first place.
Overpowered.
It is very overpowered here. And what we do here is this is where the frame counting comes into Bloons, where it's like, okay, cool. Now, how much can we prevent the balloons from coming off screen? Simply because, hey, you know what? I mean, we've got enough money. It's easy mode, right? So it's now starting to come down to less about what's up here and more about, you know, what's up here and how quickly we can do it. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do some of the tougher strategies here. Bloon speedrunning is kind of advanced over the last few years, where it used to become, you know, just a case of, you know, just being able to try to get through the map there as much as possible, to now it's pretty much down to, you know, people counting frames here. And the build orders, Damo, have gotten so optimal at this point that there is actually an incredible amount of selling to go on here in this run. As you'll see there, even the balloon appearing at the end there, that was a little bit sloppy by me. A little bit sloppy by me, you know. So pretty much what we're going to do here is we're going to, again, it's another Druid of the Jungle, dude. Who would have thought?
It's very quickly becoming my favorite tower.
You know what? It's unironically one of my favorite
I
towers.
would have to assume that Druid of the Jungle also obliterates easy mode.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? Like, here, let me just... Look.
Just chuck it down.
Yeah, I'm just going to chuck it down. I'm just going to chuck it down. But what we're going to do here is, instead of prioritizing all of our focus on the Druid of the Jungle like we used to do here in most of the other game modes, because we've got so much time on our hands and we've got so much extra defense, what we're going to end up doing is, instead, we're going to start focusing on a Sniper, because we love it when we can just instantly kill balloons off screen. So what we're going to do is we're just going to end up focusing so much on the Sniper here that we're going to end up selling off the majority of our other towers, and we're just going to end up just trying to get the Sniper up to a large caliber here. And what this does is this allows us to just pretty much one-tap everything here. And in targeting, as you'll see, there's nothing on the screen.
All we can see is, like,
You'll
the hit
see,
effects
yeah,
coming on screen.
The
but it's
very
actually already
faint
dead.
pop effect that will come on screen here. Because with 7 HP, what this will
Oh,
end up doing it. No. See, that's fine. It wasn't the end of the wave there. Right? That's all good. That's all according to plan.
I trust you. I trust you.
No. You have to.
I do. Don't worry.
I'm the runner.
You are the runner, and I'm just the guy that sits here.
That's it. See, look, this is kind of a critical thing to even notice here, is that the Druid of the Jungle isn't even firing all of the time, simply because it can't see off screen. So this can see frame 1 right? This can see, you know, first frame off of the screen sort of a thing. So that's what makes it such an incredibly good tool here, is in these easy mode runs where you're just able to just easily just snap that up. Now, unfortunately, the sniper's not always going to be the best option more often than not. However, that doesn't really stop a lot of runners here from, you know, maximizing the most out of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a cleansing foam here. This is going to allow our sniper to be able to see the camo balloons because it's got the large caliber upgrade. There's no camo detection in there. So what we have to do is we just have to support this as much as possible. We're going to get 2 druids down. This is where the build order changes up just a little bit. Is we're going to have to end up getting another sniper down at this point. And because some of the balloons have just enough health, it's very annoying, in particular when a ceramic balloon comes in. We want to be able to kill that frame 1.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I mean, that's, yeah.
At this point here, right, like if we've got all of this going on, why not just kill everything in frame 1, you know? Why not just save all of that time? Because if we're trying to really save frames here, why not just, you know, just
Yeah,
do
best to not ever let them reach the second frame.
That's it, right? So deadly, I mean, if snipers can see frame 1 here and we can just, you know, just end up killing them here.
God.
What we're going to do is we're just going to one-tap these snipers off the, one-tap the ceramic balloons before they even can come on the screen here. So, honestly, don't let anyone convince you otherwise that this isn't optimal Bloons tower defense, because this is how Bloons tower defense is supposed to be played. Now, if we want to really save frames here, we even do this so the tech bot here so that it can kill on frame 1 of being able to see, just like that.
Very nice.
Yeah, you know, again, it is just optimal there. So now we go into primary mode, only mode here, and this is where it is also just optimal to just go a good old boomerang monkey and a dart monkey. Now you will notice here, Damo, that there is no sniper monkey available for us here. So unfortunately, we have to play easy mode, a little bit honest. But again, this is where our good friend, the lingering projectile, comes in, because the boomerang ends up leaving a projectile off screen here. And I mean, if a balloon just so happened to spawn in while it was happening, then it would probably end up taking the damage, right? So, I mean, it's just about trying to maximize that as much as possible. On top of that, I mean, it's just easy mode. What more can I say? There's only 40 rounds here, and we got to do it all with primary towers. Thankfully, the primary towers are actually fairly good. You know, we've got the mob eliminator and the mob assassin in there, which allows us to kill pretty much frame perfectly. Now, you'll note I'm kind of delaying my hero a little bit, simply because, again, just trying to save as many frames as possible here. And my voice is gonna die.
Yeah, it's a long run. You got to make sure you take a drink every now and then. But yeah, easy mode it's obviously all about, like, if it's that easy and we can optimize it a lot, why not optimize it as far as possible? Which is just, it's kind of like you know, when someone might come into chat while you're streaming this game, right? They tell you, Frosty, why don't you just do X? Well, we're doing X right now.
You know what? It's like, why don't you just kill the balloons when they come on screen? I'm like,
that we will.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll kill the balloons when they come on screen, and that's fine by me. So that's pretty much what this boils down to. Easy mode will have a lot of this here. In fact, again, as you'll note, my first game mode that we started on deflation there, 5 druids in the jungle just to make sure that it ended up happening as soon as possible. So what we've done here is we've gone for a dart monkey with crossbow. It's not exactly the fastest tower that we can have in the game here, but combined with everything else, it deals just enough damage to make sure that all of these big green balloons that would end up usually making it through at this point don't, and that's kind of important. We have ended up delaying our bionic boomerang just a little bitty, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's okay, as you'll note that nothing is making it through quite yet. When we hit this button here, we will be 100%, though I've got to be honest, even if they do end up making it through at this point, we're in no immediate danger, because again, it's easy mode.
It's easy mode, and it's not just easy mode, it's easy mode.
That's it. You know what, like, I could just
take a break for a moment.
I could take my hands off the keyboard right now, Damo.
Yeah, just enjoy the animations. Like,
that's
all
it.
the
You know what? You know what? Like, compared to what we were going through before, I would definitely.
Oh, we're on holiday right now.
That's it. You know,
like,
I would have to have like one finger on the keyboard here.
Beforehand, I could have sworn you were actually playing a competitive RTS match, with the amount of your fingers were dancing across the board. But
no, that's just impoppable mode there. Impoppable mode is a little bit unforgiving like that, but thankfully, that is pretty much, I would say that's pretty much past the point. That's like the least of my concerns now. You know, I've kind of dealt with it all. So no worries there at all.
It's kind of nice to know that a lot of the hardest things can be just done at the beginning of a run, right? Because, yeah, like...
You ever have a speed run where it's like some of the hardest tricks are at the end of the run there?
Every game I run,
yeah,
the last possible thing is well, it doesn't matter until
that's
this point.
You know what? Like, if you've ended up, you know, going for a trick and, you know, it just crashes the game there, it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I got to just run it again. But this game is like, oh, cool. So, you know, this really hard gauntlet of stuff that you have to end up doing, well, you can just get out of the way as soon as you want. You don't have to do any sort of preparation like that. It's just, here's the hard stuff, and then you can choose to do the easy stuff there as well. Thankfully, you can, you know what, there's even the choice to get the RNG out of the way first. And, oh, man, isn't that just
That's the dream. That is the actual dream.
Isn't that just a luxury?
So while we've been talking, we're already on round 37.
That's it.
Like, which is, it's kind of like a contrast to some of the harder modes we were doing earlier where we were sitting here for a long time and it's like now around 17. 18.
Honestly, so to contrast it here, like, these runs are so precise that if I'm getting like a 4-minute and 40-second run on this here, like that is just, that would be just instantly just cancel the run there. That's it. Game over. We lost too much time.
Yep.
Like, that's a second. A second in Bloons Tower Defense time is like infinite, especially on a mode like this here. I'm not going to do tech bot because I'm starting to get a little bit poor at this point. So that's all the easy game modes done there. Now we're going to head straight over into medium. Things are fairly similar on medium mode, but as you may notice, things start to cost just a little bit more. So we don't exactly have the luxury of being able to afford everything that we would like to be able to afford straight off the bat. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have to budget just a little bit and take just a little bit more time on some of these rounds here. However, the build order will still be fairly similar for the most part, but what we're going to do is instead, you know, on a round like this here, instead of getting like 4 snipers down, we got to try to afford Benjamin at some point here, because again, it's like a snowballing effect, right? The sooner you can get up your heroes here, the sooner you can start making more money. And the sooner you can start making more money, the faster that you're going to be able to kill the Bloons. And, I mean, while this is holding off all well and good here, like, we don't need anything more, right? Like, you know, we lost, like, a few frames in there, but, you know, oh well, right?
Yeah, we just don't want to over-invest just to make a couple of rounds early go a little bit faster.
That's right.
Like, yeah.
So here, you know, here's a good effect, right? Like, I was able to afford a sniper. I could have afforded a sniper earlier, but because Ben gives me an extra $150 every single round here, it allows me just that little bit more leeway that I wouldn't usually be able to have there to be able to get just that little bit more time out of it.
And we love Ben for that.
We do love Ben.
We do love Ben.
Ben is, even though Ben's a money-making hero, he actually ends up losing you money in the game modes where you can't earn any extra money. Because it just ends up, one of his abilities there ends up just stealing the money out of you. You know, it's like, I'll give you an extra buck, except I'll give you no bucks there, because that's just the way I work. So, even though Ben is not that great in chimps, people still love him. People have been trying to make Ben work in chimps for the longest time because of his siphon ability, because he just downgrades everything. Like, you know, that really chunky round 98 that we were going like, oh, Jesus, this is really scary. Well, the good news is that we don't have to deal with that because you can just downgrade everything, right? So that's really, really fast, except for the fact that you have to use Ben. So because of the fact that you have to use Ben, you know, it's like you have to lose time there. So people have been trying to make Ben work in this speedrun for absolutely ages, even though it just, like, it has no right to work. But
so you're saying you're not a believer in Ben?
I want to believe. Damo, I want to believe. I've been scarred before, man. Now, again, I've gone for a little bit of a safe strat here. I've gotten up a little bit more money than I really should have at this point, honestly. A bit of a whoopsie doodle. Lost like 1 or 2 seconds in there, but thankfully, because we're playing the nice friendly game modes, you know, it's like the old buddy chum game modes here, we don't really have to worry about all too much. 150 lives is a luxury.
It's quite a lot of lives. I mean, we could lose some on purpose and make it a bit more dramatic.
I could,
but
my bank account is, I believe I already owe like $125 at this point.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't really, I mean, guys, I like charity. I'll be the first person to say I like charity, Damer.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to become a charity case, however. I don't want to start taking donos from my viewers to be like,
you do
hey,
have to get home tonight.
You know what? Like, I mean, I got some fuel that I need to put in my bike there and everything. You know, like this is not the cheapest sort of stuff there. So, you know, honestly, like, I think just choosing to not take the death at this point would probably be better for me.
Just like every other death that you've had so far. As well. It was always a choice.
Yeah. Let's go with that. I like that.
Yeah. Good script.
Good script. So you know what?
So turn to page 10.
Okay, I'm gonna turn to page 10. Oh, what's that? Another random death there. Oh no, I don't like that at all.
Put that out, but.
Oh yeah, I mean, can we change that?
We still can.
Okay, excellent.
I don't think we're live, so.
All right, awesome. All right, cool. So again, at this point, it's pretty much just about amassing a few Druids of the Jungle here. Druids of the Jungle work very, very well in. That's like they move in herds, right? It's like the Jurassic Park. They move in herds.
Yeah, I've never actually watched Jurassic Park.
You've never watched Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
There's a bit of.
So I don't get that reference.
No.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I guess, I mean, you know what? I guess my entire reference now is, you know, might have gone completely unnoticed on a few of my viewers here now.
Well.
That's very unfortunate now, isn't it?
It is a bit unfortunate. I mean, maybe I'll go home and watch it tonight, and then I'll rewatch this run, and then I'll have a good laugh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the original Jurassic Park that was actually intended to be a horror film?
I did, actually.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
See, I know film trivia, but I don't know films.
Really now?
And I'm a film student.
Yeah. Strange. Yeah.
But enough about me.
Yeah.
And back to right.
Back to
the absolute destruction of this mode.
Back to the speedrunning here. Okay, so what we're going to do at this point here is we're going to get a spike rolls down right up at the front here. Now, before I was mentioning that, hey, you know, being able to earn a little bit of extra money here does kind of break the game. And as you're seeing right now, it is definitely breaking the game because if they're making it past this point, I would be very, very disappointed. But we have to start worrying about this wave as well up here as well, Damo, because as you may know, Bloons will start eventually coming from there, and that's a little bit of a problem.
The business is booming in the top right, so I'm sure we're going to be able to deal with that.
That's a problem for future me. Future me will have to deal with that in just a little bit here. The good news is, however, I don't need absurd amounts of money to be able to save frames at this point. So pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, like, anything that can save just a few frames here or there, I'm pretty much just going to do that. So what it comes down to now is we're going to just amass this nice little spike turret over here. I'm going to put it on close, and you know, this is pretty much frame perfect, right? You'll note that before, if I angled it down slightly, it would come up here, and there'd be just the slight little moment that my mob assassin here could target some stuff up on top of the screen. Ideally, if I've done this correctly, that won't happen at all. We'll just be able to just instantly just kill off the mobs before they can even go any further here. So the real test here is in just a second. I'm mashing. No, I can't even target it there. So that's pretty much optimal. Not being able to see anything on the top of the screen there. We're playing Bloons optimally, Damo.
We are. Yes, we. Yeah,
yes, definitely.
Thank you for including me in the.
Yeah, Damo, I feel like it's a team. It's a team effort right about now, because.
Well, see, if you didn't have me to like distract you every now and then, you know, maybe you would have just continued to talk, got dry mouth, got a little bit nervous, and then lost focus.
I can guarantee you, I've been talking a storm up right now.
You're good at talking. You're very good at talking.
That, you know what? That's the added benefit of being a Twitch streamer, right? You know, it's just you get used to just.
Exactly.
See, this is why, right? I was talking the other day to to one of the Riot employees. I was talking to them, and they're like, "Yeah, we just get used to when people start to, you know, waffle on and on there. It's like we're used to that, and we just end up just tuning out at that point there. We don't listen to that anymore. It's like, oh wow, dude, you're so good, so professional." And like, no, it's just you just waffle, and I'm like, damn it, every single time, dude. They just know.
They do know. I mean, that's their job to know, right? I guess at the end of the day.
I suppose.
So I guess stuff as well, like with lower difficulties, is because the spike turrets in the higher difficulties were always pretty much placed on the end of the track, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where you wanted. We were talking about protecting the spikes, But in easier difficulties, if we're trying to kill things as early as possible, like frame 1 or early, right?
Oh, we're up
That's
the
why
front
we've got them at the front.
Yeah,
there's zero risk here. So
yeah, lingering projectile up at the front there, very bueno there. So that's a optimal medium here. I don't know exactly how we're doing on time here for the time being, so I mean, I might have to end up skipping over a mode or two, but what we're going to do here for the time being is we're just going to end up going into military only, and hopefully my wonderful developers here, my directors here, will not end up killing me if I choose to actually try to play the game. So military only, again, is one of those really interesting modes, Damo, because we have, theoretically, one of the best tools in the game in the sniper. However, we have no free dart monkeys, no nothing like that, no druids of the jungle. So we pretty much just have to figure out a good way of going fast purely with snipers. Now, thankfully, because they're snipers, they're multimodal. They're not necessarily just a case of, you know, just killing balloons off the screen. They also fire very fast as well, so that when balloons do come on the screen here, we don't really have to worry all too much. But this is one of those game modes. This is one of those game modes where things can go a little bit awry. Ideally, things don't go awry, but, you know, for the time being here, things should be a-okay. I'm going to put this one on first as well, they just save a bit of time. Alright, cool. So, again, about getting Ben down as soon as possible here. Now, from this point, what we're going to do is we're going to just start upgrading some of these snipers up to some of their really good abilities. So, all these towers on the side here, the Monkey Sub and the Monkey Buccaneer, well, I mean, it's not a water map, so we can't place any of those down.
yeah, that'd be illogical if we could do that. So
I mean, you know what? There used to be a bit of a meme that you could put a sub down in this area here or a Buccaneer down in this area here. So, you know what? I'm denying it right now. You can't do that. Unfortunate, you know.
proven live on air that that is not a real
That's
strat.
it.
Don't believe the lies.
But
yeah.
even something like the Monkey Ace here and the Heli here they're a little bit slow in terms of their ability to fire fast. And that is something that we genuinely value very highly here, is their ability to be able to just straight up clear waves, right? So even though they might be strong on a map where you've got really long lanes and, you know, it ends up circling around here, the reality is that on a map like this, that you don't really have the wonderful luxury of, you know, having a whole bunch of time here, because it's a really, really short path. Even though it covers the entire screen, you know, you'll see on a lot of other maps that it ends up taking like a bit of a winding path here or there. There's a bit of time to end up doing everything. That's definitely not the case here on this map. It is incredibly brutal in terms of that sort of thing. So even though I'd like to use the majority of these towers, like the mortar in theory would be a pretty interesting one, it just doesn't end up playing out the way that you think it would. So from here, we're going to get a semi-automatic here. And this is where, again, we'll start seeing the Bloons start taking a bit of a breather off the screen. You know, they're just going to take 5 here for a little bit. A fun little factoid about these snipers, though, is that it turns out that the first sniper that you end up putting down is going to be the one that fires first. So what you optimally want to do here is you kind of want to focus on just trying to make it so that this little sniper here is the one that is the highest damage one, so that when it comes to around like 38 that you can get that instant kill available. Now, in military only here, we don't have that option, simply because we need this sniper to be... this sniper has the best view. I haven't really talked about Workshop as a map here in total, but these little tables that you've got here, these are sight blockers. Bloons can't see past these points, right? So you'll see the red lines here appearing around. They can't really shoot through those at all. But it turns out that if you put things just in the right spot here, as you'll see on the left side of the screen, it can barely see onto the open side. And as you go slightly closer here with this one, if it'll be so kind to just, yeah. So as you go over here on this one, it can still see over there. But when you go over to this one here, it starts to block off the side there. So
it just adds more to the like how we were talking about earlier about like tower placement being extra important. This is like a big example of that as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this is why we've got little snipers down here, right? Is so that those can see at the entrance of the screen, which is, again, fairly important. Now, these next few rounds here, in particular, round 40, is a bit of a pain point for us. It can be a little bit dangerous.
It's been a bit of a trend.
Yeah, I mean,
Round 40 seems to be the, yeah.
you know, there are certain rounds where you'll see that it can be a little bit more dangerous than other rounds, right? So, for example, you know, rounds like 63 there, they're notorious within the community, right? Like, everyone knows what round 63 is. However, what we're going to do here is, for the time being, what we're going to do is we're going to get up a laser cannon to be able to help us out with that. So, you know, I mean, I was going to make the joke earlier in the stream where it's like, oh, look, it's military only, it's snipers only. But it turns out that this does end up helping us out quite a little bit here. We can end up getting Elite Defender later on, but we have chosen to not go for the camo cross path. So just having a bit of support on the Moab side here really ends up helping out a ton. And on top of that, we need a really good way of being able to clear off waves, because even though our snipers are really good at single target, even with the fast firing ones and the wave clear ones, there is still sometimes the ability for, you know, particularly troublesome waves like 53, for example, or 55. An example there to be able to clear everything up. So we're just going to play really safely there. Now, Plasma Accelerator will essentially, like, as I'm sure you'll notice, Damo, there's been a bit of a recurring trend here. Like, when we get a certain upgrade, it's pretty much going to be everything's locked up here. Plasma Accelerator is kind of that, where if we hit Plasma Accelerator, the game is pretty much won. Unfortunately for me, it's not hands off. I have to micro.
A little bit of micro never hurt. So.
Well, I mean, you know, it's like, you could say that it's a one game, but, I mean, we've seen, I mean, there have been some times tonight where I've ended up messing up just a little bit. So there is definitely the potential for me to end up screwing up. However, as I'm sure you'll see with this big wave here.
So you can manually control this tower and where it shoots, yeah.
See, look, I can make it spin. Spin just like that. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have to manually retarget it up here and then down here as well to catch some of these ceramics, as that is fairly important. We're also going to get up one of these here, a Deadly Precision. That's going to help out with some of the ceramics later on. And as you may notice, ceramics are not exactly a problem for us, for now at least. There's going to be one round in the end there, round 59, I should say, which features lead camos. And those in particular can be fairly dangerous for a build like this. This has no camo, this has no lead pop, and this just can't see camo either. So it's about trying to find a good balance of snipers that you need to end up picking out here. On top of this here, I guess I should mention at this point that I did rat out this entire thing entirely by myself.
Which is very impressive. I mean, it's very...
Very humble brags, right? You know, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I just did this all by myself here, you know, it's no big deal there. But I should say that there is quite a vibrant community of speedrunners here who are very passionate about Bloons Tower Defense 6. And, you know, if you're interested in checking it out there, I would highly recommend giving it a shot here, as we are a very friendly community. We love having new players come in and try to beat people up. And there's a person who's right now trying to get a full line of... Like, you know, it's like the Taylor's all this time, where it's the Summoning Salt, right? Where, you know, guys trying to get all the records there. We're trying to stop that right now. So, you know, I mean, dude, if you want to help out, dude, feel free. So that's military only there for the time being. Now, we've got one more little medium mode left and then 3 hard modes left. Reverse is very basic. It is literally what it says on the tin there. It is just, every round is just reversed.
With the exact same modifiers as beforehand.
Yep.
Correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Just
But, fun little factoid. All the rounds, they tend to have some of their hardest moments at the end of the rounds, right? So that theoretically would mean that, you know, you'd want to go really fast at the end of the rounds, right? Or like have your defense ready for that. But because most of that happens at the beginning of the reverse round, because the entire wave is reversed, we can just sit back and chill for the majority of it, you know? It's like, oh wow, look, even if the tough stuff ended up getting through here, it doesn't matter, because I don't need to do anything, because it's about killing the last balloon as fast as possible. And, you know, if you're able to get through that, then, I mean, there's just pretty much no problem from there on out.
Here's Ben. Ben coming back.
Ben will be making Ben is a recurring segment here for the last bit of this speedrun, let me tell you. This run is dominated by Sauder and good old Ben, and it's purely because those are two of the best speedrunning heroes in the game. There are different heroes that are used for certain maps here or there simply because, you know, for example, something doesn't really optimally line up there. But Ben is the speedrun hero simply because Ben just has all the tools. And because Ben has all the tools, Ben has all the money. And Ben has all the money, that means that there's no reason to not use Ben. Great hero, honestly. Love his work, you know. Let's sell off all of our snipers here. Let's get our Druid of the Jungle up here. And, you know, I'm thinking a bit of dono time here if you've got any chance.
We don't have any new donos at the moment, but we have a few upcoming incentives for runs. Like the F1 2021 changed the controller input to a racing wheel. I would really love to see that, but we need $1,000 in order for us to get to that goal. It would be. We also have, for the same game, you can choose the team name between Aston Martin, AlphaTauri, Williams, Hayes, and Alfa Romeo. And at the moment, Aston Martin is in the lead with $15, and AlphaTauri not far behind with $5, so anything's in it. And yeah.
You could say that they're in it to win it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
And coming up later, we have Pokemon Fire Red, where you can choose the trainer name or the rival name. At the moment, Whooper Z for the trainer name is winning at $55, and Corey for the trainer name at $30.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so keep those donos coming in.
That's it. Alright, so, again, we've assembled our wonderful Druid of the Jungle team at this point. It is essentially, from this point on, just game over. It's just, I mean, what can you do?
There's nothing they can do. They're just balloons.
That's it. They're just.
And you've got druids. Like.
Now, I will say though that the next video of this here, I do actually need to get a cleansing foam down for round 33. It would be usually the case where you could just let all the red balloons at the start of the wave come down. But however, there is a red balloon camo wave that starts at the beginning of the round usually. That would happen at the end of the round here. So we need to make sure that we've at least got some form of defense down to make sure that we can not die to it, but just save just enough frames, you know? It's like I've already bled out enough frames here by dying quite a few times. So I don't necessarily feel the need to do that. Again, it seems fairly suboptimal. So, you know, it's pretty much the case where it's like any time save that we can get from this point on is going to just be hunky-dory.
Just trying to get, like, inch everything out that we can get.
That's
from
right.
This point onwards.
That's
Especially
right.
when it's much more free and, I'd guess, easier to get. As opposed to more demanding levels.
Well, that's it.
On,
so a nice little benefit that we have on this mode here is on reverse, that the mobs would usually come from this little chute here. It's a very deadly map like that, you know, having half the map length to be able to deal with this. However, being on reverse, it has this nice little benefit where the balloons just come from here now, so we just get to pile all of our defense up at this very little corner. And there's nothing we really have to do past that point here. It's just problem solved, right? Like, bada boom, we're all good there. What we're going to do now is we're going to get rid of our camo defense because that's what smart people would do. And we're instead going to focus on another new tower, a Necromancer here. So this one's, again, a wonderful little lingering projectile that we like to get down. And this one has the ability to pop camo and just shoot balloons off the screen. So honestly, it's just a win-win for us at this point, whereas before it was like kind of iffy whether we'd get the camo down in time. Now it is definitely 100%. So 100% that we're going to also use this time to put more lingering projectiles onto the screen to try to save as much time. See, this is the benefit that we have now. Because we're not playing a dual lane map, we're playing a single lane map, we instead get to focus all of our attention to one part of the screen, which is why this run ends up taking so much longer than any of the beginners or any of the intermediates or advanced, is simply because they pick out one lane maps here. We don't get that choice because these expert maps, I mean, Ninja Q was like, hey, you know what? It would just be a little bit too easy. So, you know what? Let's just try to up our game just a little bit here. And boy, howdy did they up their game. So what we're going to do is we're going to up our game a little bit here as well. I'm going to be a little bit cheaty here. I'm going to activate a few tech bots here. And that ideally is just going to give us some really perfect frame kills. And we're not going to have to worry about anything at all. As you may note, pretty much any of the balloons coming through at this point are getting turned into mincemeat. There's the first mob down. Didn't even really see it at this point. And
there's a lot of off-screen.
That's it. So this is why it's so important to try to emphasize the fact that we're killing these things off-screen, and like lingering projectiles are definitely your best friend in this sort of situation. The real skill in this here comes from knowing how to get into this position, right? Like, what's the optimal way to save as much time as possible while also just, you know, having enough money to be able to afford it and not die in the meantime, right?
Yeah, and usually any shortcuts you'll take for safety are going to probably result in you setting all of this further back round after round after round.
Well, kind of, right? So there are some times where you do need to play like incredibly safe to make sure that you don't end up dying. But at the same time, there are just some times where that is just a necessary factor and there's no way of getting around it, right? Like, you know, just like anything else, there are just going to be some times. Wait, are these all firing at the same? My God.
They were in sync for a while, yeah.
They are actually all trying to fire at the exact same time here on the one Moab. It's actually not more efficient to do that. Wow, okay, cool. You know what? I guess the old tech bots here can go off for the time being. I'm just going to manually time it instead because we can't trust them.
I mean, this would indicate that something is coming in range of all of them, so they're all trying to fire on the same frame.
Oh,
right?
So it can target the entire screen here. So pretty much what it happens is like every single one season is like, aha, I can kill it. And so that is that. That's all the mediums done there. Now, we've got 3 game modes left to go at this point, but if worst comes to worst, I can just showcase 1 or 2 of them here. This is regular hard mode now. So what we do in regular hard mode is a little bit different to what you might be used to doing at this point. What we're going to do in regular hard mode is we are going to eschew all of this business where we try to kill everything on the first frame for the first bit here, and instead we're going to just go back to druiding. Yes, the reliable old druid here. We're going to get a druid down first. As you may know, druid is very good at saving up to Benjamin. That's pretty much the main goal, is how do we get to Benjamin? How do we do it without losing a lot of frames? It turns out that we're going to go for a Druid of the Jungle. It used to be the case where it would be the other way around, where it would be like, okay, we're going to get to Benjamin, and then we're going to try to figure out a way to just try to, you know, work our way into a solid defense from here. But then people were like, no, we don't need to be that greedy, so we're just going to get a Druid up instead and try to save frames that way. On top of this here, my favorite part about the Druid in the early rounds is that it is actually completely random on whether it snipes off some of these balloons or not. It is a shotgun spread of thorns that it ends up firing out. So there is definitely the chance that there could just be some leaks out of this here. I much prefer that it didn't do that, but we're all good here for the time being. So yeah, on hard mode, the prices are once again increased. So what we're going to do is we are going to do some trap strats to be able to afford all of our late game defense as fast as possible here. And again, a little dancing banana monkey never really hurt anyone in that regard here. Chat, let it be a little bit of a distraction from the fact that, like, just don't look up the top here. Don't look at that estimate. That estimate, a little bit, it's not real. You know, it's not a problem. All right, like just don't look at that. Trust me, it's not real.
It isn't real.
It's not real.
It's just a number.
That's it. I mean, you know, it's just a number, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like numbers aren't real, right? Numbers are definitely real.
Well, yeah, there's no denying that they are real.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Who
it's
are we
like,
kidding?
does logic exist? Does
If we choose when it exists, yes. That doesn't have to be when numbers are involved.
okay. But logic does exist, doesn't it?
So there's a lot less frame 1 killing, obviously, happening this time around.
There's no choice, right? Like, we kind of have to just accept the fact that this is just the way that it is, right? Like, this is one of those situations now where it's like, hey, I mean, I've got a few lives to play with now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're in the blue by any means, right? Like, we kind of do have to just, like, once again, it's like, hey, you got to kind of take the L here, dude. Like, just, you know, just, yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we'll do. But you'll notice now that, hey, look at that. Double Druid of the Jungle down. We're kind of in that position now where, hey, we're starting to get to that point where we're starting to frame 1 kill everything again. And that is the trade-off right there, is like, it's about finding the optimal time between the trade-off here and the, the greed and being able to afford everything that you need to afford. So at this point here, it's mostly just about just trying to lock it up. The next big worry is going to be that camo wave that we had coming through before. So we got to deal with that camo wave. Let's get a sniper down. And, so long as we've got enough money coming in here, marketplaces are your best friend. The reason why we choose marketplaces over anything else, there's other upgrade parts in the game, but we choose to use marketplaces because they sell back for more. They also have the same amount produced as the top path here as middle path, the top paths here, just third path. So there's just really no reason not to go for it, because as you'll note in a lot of these runs here, there is a bit of selling that goes on to try to afford some of the more powerful upgrades in the game. So we like to try to maximize the amount that we get out of that. Now once again, we got to try to go for a handy dandy nice little foamy boy here. Again, trying to take as few licks as possible, but the reality is that it just doesn't really matter as much here. Again, we really did go through the really tough rounds to start off things there. Again, just because I feel sadistic.
There's also been it looks like it's kind of like a common build, or it's pretty strong to go for like your Ben, Sniper, Druid, and the, obviously, I forget the name, the one that puts down the camo destroying, the foam.
The little foamy boy here, yeah.
Yeah, so this combination is obviously, it has great synergy, and it's very efficient.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's like, how do you instantly kill a balloon? This tower can instantly kill a balloon, right? That's pretty valuable. We like instantly killing balloons. So we're going to do that, we're going to try to maximize that as much as possible. And, how many times can we instantly kill a balloon? Well, it turns out quite a few times if we do it this way. So, again, it's mostly about just, like, what it leaves behind and how to maximize not leaving. It's like... dude, I don't want to say it. It's like, it's trying to, like, commit a murder. It's like, how do we not leave anybody behind? Coming up with the great, the great... Wow, what's the word I'm trying to...
I don't know.
I don't know it either. I don't even know what I'm saying. Damo, it's way past my bedtime at this point. That's my excuse, alright? It's way past my bedtime. Oh wait, why is the monkey even there? Alright, so this time, however, I'm not going to forget to go for a monkey city. And what we're going to do is we're going to sell off both of these now. We're going to get our monkeyopolis. And now it is time to prepare our big old defense for later on in the game. We're going to sell off this little village here. We're going to get our third trap down. It's pretty necessary against some of the more tougher rounds here, especially round 49. As you may note in some of the previous rounds that we've gone through, especially on something like Impoppable, there have actually been leaks on 49 here, even with this triple trap play, which is like, dude, we have like 3 traps down. But as you may note, there are just so many ceramics at this point that there is still a chance that they can end up making it through. And I don't know about you, I'm kind of sick about taking deaths at this point, so I'm just going to try to optimize not doing that.
Yeah, trying to keep the rest of the run deathless would be definitely preferable.
Yeah, I'm looking over at the side here, and it's like the director is like, yes, please, definitely do that. Do actually, you know what, like just, if you could do that, that would be great. You know what? I'm all for it at this point here. So, it's like... Yeah, I think we'll definitely be very happy with that at this point. We've only got 2 more game modes to go through at this point, and it ideally will take about... Oh, man. Dude, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. Look, we're already far behind, Damo, but we're about to be even further behind than we were before.
Why is that?
Because it's going to take about... These usually take about 11 minutes or so, right? And we've got about 2 more of them left after this.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, you know what? Like
you've got a bit of time.
Yeah, that's definitely a very positive way of looking at it.
As long as you don't fail anything, you're well ahead of us.
I've got some good news. It's very unlikely that I fail anything.
Okay, well that's good. Is there any bad news?
There is a chance.
Oh, look, I'm willing to take the chance.
You're willing to take a chance. Damo, you've believed in me before.
I've believed in you before, and I paid for it because I watched many fails at the very beginning.
Yeah, and
it's been smooth sailing. I don't see anything going wrong.
How did you pay off for you before though?
It's not relevant. Let's just
That's what
keep
I
your
thought.
head in the game.
Okay,
because you're gonna talk yourself into a failure.
My head's in the game, Damo, because what we're gonna do here is, again, we're pretty much at the lockup point where we've got a perma-spike up at the top here. Perma-spike is going to be able to clear off everything hunky-dory from this point. So the only way that we could realistically die is from this middle wave, right? And while we've got a lot of defense here in the first place, we kind of need a Spirit of the Forest just to be able to clear everything up perfectly. I find that Spirit of the Forest is one of those good ways of being able to just guarantee it. As you can see there, even with the Spirit of the Forest down, they still end up making it decently far. So it is kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe just a little bit of extra precaution here never really hurt anyone.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, everything is just insurance, right, at this point, so...
That's all it is at this point here. So long as we can just optimize, just holding off all the balloons off of the screen here, which is these 3 traps and everything there, then it should be all good. Now, pretty much the only thing that I really have to worry about from this point is trying to optimize siphon timing so that I can catch the last BFBs, get them onto the screen 0.5 of a second sooner. That is all the time that we save by doing that there. It's just... Imagine this as just a heck of a lot of ILs. That is what we're doing right now, is we're just doing a heck of a lot of ILs, and we're just trying to optimize the amount of time in between all of them. So another siphon here, and as you may note, our ability timing that we've ended up coming up with at this point is very particular to make sure that we hit very critical rounds that will end up saving the most amount of time. Would you believe it? These runs?
Saving time in a speedrun?
I would never.
Not me. Not my runs, at least, but...
Are you the sort of guy to be able to just reset, like, if you make a mistake on level 1 there?
I'm the kind of guy that goes into, like, the live split settings and changes the color for green splits to be red and red to be green. That way, it just looks like when I'm having bad runs, it's still green.
What are you training yourself for, though? It's like, I feel like you're training yourself psychologically.
Training myself to be, like, more positive about being on bad runs. Yeah. Because I'm just on them all the time.
Isn't that just coping, though?
Oh, well, that's another word for it.
Oh, that is certainly a word.
But I think it's healthier to look at it a bit more positive. You know, coping has that kind of, you know, negative implication.
Yeah.
You know? But there's no coping here. There's just acceptance.
Isn't that the 5th stage of denial there? Or isn't that the 5th stage of grief?
I just prefer to skip over the other 5 stages in that regard.
We're just skipping straight ahead to grief at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's all grief.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it is that way when you're other games I run.
I mean, let's be real here. I'm pretty sure all speedrunners have definitely had their woes at this point. So, you know, it's a fairly nice thing that we can just relate to each other in that sort of way.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Relating to each other over grief because we play video games too slow sometimes is definitely a strong suit.
Brings a tear to my eye. You know,
me too.
I don't know.
I'm not going to cry on air. But
I mean, dude, my wallet is crying right now. Let me tell you, $125 down the train. I'm definitely crying after this stream. I'm going to be like...
I mean, how much did you expect to fail?
You know, realistically, I came into this being like, you know, $50. I think, you know, that's about right.
Yeah.
You know, any more than $50, I get to just kind of write it off. $100, you know, that's where I'm starting to like, yeah, but anything over that, there's like surely no way that that's ever going to happen. And here we are. So I think that's kind of where, you know, that's where my mindset is at right now.
You got any incentives that you're going to put that towards?
I would like to put that towards just the wonderful folks who
behind
are
the desk on L.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna just write.
It's a personal gift.
Just write them a blank check and just, you know what? Treat yourselves for this night tonight. You know, it's on me because honestly.
I like how much we can just talk while there's absolute destruction happening.
You know, even though it might...
Oh, you won.
Yeah, even though it might look like, oh, wow, dude, I got a diamond crate. Oh, no, tier 5 unlucky. Damn it, dude. Man, I love random events in this sort of thing here. All right.
That would lose you time in a real run.
Yeah, it does, actually. I've actually, you know, even the level pop-ups here, I've lost time to them before as well. It's great. So we're going to enter Magic Monkeys now, and Magic Monkeys is exactly what it says on the tin. It's another one of those game modes where it's like, hey, look, here's the one type of tower here that we can only use. So we've been through primary, we've been through military, and we've got magic now. The unfortunate news is that there is no support only. That one doesn't exist and it will never. However, the build order, I would challenge you to guess what we're going to try to do here.
Let me have a guess.
I think okay, before we do, I think you've learned enough from what I've been doing in this speedrun here to be able to kind of guess what I'm about to put together here. So, you know what, I'm going to challenge you. What do you think we're going to go for next?
Okay, so we've got a druid down. Probably, actually... It's Ben. Or a sniper. Well, we don't have a sniper.
We don't have a sniper.
Mode, so we can't.
No, we can't.
I have not been paying attention.
No, you haven't. I mean, look, I'm going to try to point it out.
There's no way it's another druid.
Are you sure?
What's the actual answer?
Is that your final answer?
No, what is the actual answer?
I don't want to. Come on,
Okay,
Dan. I don't want to make you look bad.
So much pressure. I'm
That's
making
not too much-
myself look bad.
You're doing very well at that as
Did
well.
I say
man.
Ben already?
Yeah.
Then a sniper.
No, it's a Druid of the Jungle. Come on, have you learned nothing?
I thought I said Druid.
Ah.
Did I not say Druid? Like
No,
first?
you said a Druid.
It's
but
an upgrade.
Yeah, you got to specify it.
See, I didn't think about the upgrades. You know,
Damn
I
it.
came up with the synergy. I was like, well, you got the sniper,
You were doing
druid.
so well for a
Yeah.
second that I honestly believed that you were going to get that there. Okay, but I'll give you another chance here. What's coming up next?
Druid of the jungle. Bam.
There we go. You know what? Second time's the charm. I'll give you that one there.
All right.
You know what? Okay.
Well, the money is closing in. There it
we
is,
go.
immediately down.
There we go. All right. Awesome job.
You know,
All right.
something I just noticed
Yeah.
is that this kind of has the same kind of tie-in speed-wise, again, to an RTS, right? Low resources equals good because it means you're spending that money immediately.
Always want to spend your resources
If your money's
here.
high, that's not good.
Unless what's the one time which you want to save your resources in an RTS?
When you're trying
To save for a upgrade. There we go. When you're trying to save for an upgrade.
like Druid of the Jungle.
Like Druid of the Jungle. There. See, look, you're learning.
I am learning.
I'm
Thanks for
proud of
guiding me
you.
through that one and training wheels on the verbal part there.
That's
but
you know what, like a bit of a rocky start there. I'll give you that. But
just a little.
you know.
It's a lot to take in, you know? Like, this is 2,800 hours of, you know, funny monkey game.
I mean, does it
And-
really? I mean, after tonight, does it really look like it?
No, it does. It still
Okay.
does. I mean, something that constantly impresses me about this run is, what is that?
That's a super monkey. This is the most expensive tower in the game. We don't use it because it is slow and it is clunky.
Okay, so why did we use it this time?
Because it is powerful. And it is more powerful than the other, because it turns out that in Magic Monkeys here, we don't have a lot of good options against Moabs. And it just so happens to be that even though I don't want to use it, we still have to use it here. Because
He's not really doing much at the moment.
he's
is he?
not
Like,
going to do much yet. Yet. You got to, you know.
Did you see him react there when you said yet?
He
like,
did a
put
bit
his
of a double
hands up.
take there.
Yeah,
didn't he?
yeah.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it? So yeah, what Super Monkey here does is he fires extremely fast, but we're gonna put him a little bit further down on the track here because we need to grab everything that's going along. We're gonna give him a bit of camo detection, but he's also got the useful ability of kind of slowing balloons and knocking them back, especially if they're smaller ones. So we're going to make the most use out of that as possible here. And it's going to act as like a surrogate camo defense here, especially since we've got the Wizard Monkey in the front here trying to do its best to try to kill them as soon as possible. But it's inconsistent, so we need something else to be able to help out with that. We're also going to give it a bit of range here as well. Now, this is kind of one of those situations before where I was like, I don't know if things are going to work out terribly well in this run or not, especially on this map in particular, because there is still a chance that we can die to the mob on round 40.
But we won't.
Recurring theme.
Yeah.
Recurring.
Yeah, very much.
But,
yeah.
but we won't.
No, we won't. Of course we won't.
We won't?
You might. I won't.
Oh.
I'm not at the controls, but
You are right.
I'd be very embarrassed.
I would be very embarrassed as well. That again, that would be another $25. Would you be willing to put $25 on the line, Damo? Oh.
If it's dealing with any kind of monkey balloon game and it's my wallet on the line, absolutely not. Not from what I've seen tonight.
That's
There's
how little
no
faith.
way. You know, I have to fly home next week, right? So I don't plan on selling clothes off my back to afford that ticket just because I bet on my monkeys killing things fast. But
Yeah, all right. So what you okay? But here's the thing, right?
yeah.
What are you even going to spend that $25 on? You're going to spend it on one bottle of water on the plane flight home.
Yeah, well, being airport water,
Exactly.
it's definitely going to be up there.
So I mean, you know what? Why not just have some faith? Why
But
not?
then I'm going to be dehydrated later because I won't have $25 water.
Yeah, and then I guess you'll need to think about how you're going to make that $25 back, right? And you'll be so dehydrated that you can't even think about it.
I could probably make it back in like money matches on this game if you trained me up.
Monkey money matches.
Yeah,
Ninja
monkey
Kiwi
money
should really
matches.
improve.
Triple M.
Ninja Kiwi, if you're listening to this right now, write this down. Write this down, because I mean, dude, we just
Or
got-
just send another complaint to the devs.
yeah. I mean that works. I mean, complaining always works, right?
It really does.
Complaining to any sort of dev. I mean, just writing an angry message on Twitter.
Everyone
works
loves
all-
doing that.
Dude, I don't know, man. there's just something so nice about complaining to a dev on Twitter. It's like, yes, my voice is going out into the empty void here. But there's just, it's so satisfying.
It's therapeutic.
That's
it's
it.
like, I've done it.
It's like, I've finally gotten all of my grievances out about this bad game. I can finally relax now. Even though that's definitely not how things work.
It's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
You shouldn't do it.
You shouldn't do it. But people will do it.
So what's happening at the moment? We've got a...
Well, we've got a Necromancer on the screen here. This is our compromise. Necromancer leaves these lingering projectiles here. Also runs off of a bit of an ammo system. So we need to put that right up at the front. And these super monkeys up at the back here... These are going to be our primary defense against the mobs. Now, unfortunately, because we had to go for the camo cross path here, means that it's not going to be getting the most damage out for the time being. But we're just going to be spamming out a few robo monkeys in the meantime here, just to make sure that we have enough damage here. Because I mean, things can get a little bit awkward here or there, and I mean, it would be embarrassing to die again at this point.
Oh, it absolutely would be.
It absolutely would be. So, my number one concern is, not trying to look good right about it. It's just about trying to save face.
Yeah, this isn't about style. This is about effectiveness.
That's it. I think that's kind of the motto of Bloons at this point. It's not about how you win. It's just about winning at this point.
Yeah.
It's not pretty, like if you end up microing for about 20 minutes there and dying once, well, I mean, you're going back to the start here, so you might as well just win, right?
Yeah, I mean, and do it quick, preferably.
That's it. I mean, you know what? I like to go fast, Amo. People have called me fast.
Have they?
Yeah.
I believe it.
In many different ways.
People have not called me very fast.
Oh.
But
what you?
maybe if I hang out with you more.
Like sprinting fast or what?
Just well, I did come fourth in the 100-meter sprint in year 4 at the athletics carnival.
That's
did come
pretty.
fourth. And I didn't put my head forwards either, like every other tryhard did. So. Yeah.
Impressive. It's pretty dang impressive.
Thanks.
So, we're back to your regularly scheduled Bloons gameplay here. We're actually going to go for a Alchemist here to try to buff up some of our super monkeys in the meantime here, just to be able to provide it. Because round 63 is a little bit scary. We don't have the Spike Factory in the back to be able to clear it up. And typically this is one of the rounds here where Spike Factory can do it. So we're just going to play it on slow-mo for just a little bitty there. And that would have been a death. So it's probably a good thing that I ended up doing that there, because otherwise we would have died.
That was out of nowhere. Yeah.
No, that wasn't out of nowhere. That was out of Compton.
Oh.
Straight out.
Hey, how long you been holding that one? Have you been waiting for me to say that sounded rehearsed. I'm sorry.
No, it's definitely not rehearsed. It was.
All right, turn to page 12 on the screen.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. It's like just straight. I mean, dude, this is why this is why I get hired for this sort of stuff here.
Yeah.
All right, so there's the tricky round done there. All we needed to do was press
I do have a question.
Yes.
So when you were resetting, like you had to bail out of levels earlier on, you started back at round 1, but you knew what the seed was going to be.
Yeah.
This time you bailed out and you're still at round 65.
That's right.
Are you cheating?
No.
Answers all. Yeah, that answers my question.
No, I'm not going to elaborate.
What is the reason for this?
Okay,
like, why does it go back to 1?
So usually it goes back to 1 if you end up starting the map again, right? But what we did there is, because we end up coming back out and entering it, so I took a game over there initially, and then I reset the seed straight away. So what that does is that pretty much says to the game, hey, look, we're going to end up restarting this here. Let's make it so that we don't have to worry about any of the stuff that happened before. It's a fresh slate. However, if you come back into a game where you've already got a save state in there, it's like, hey, here's this save state. We're going to continue from that point. With Apocalypse there, you specifically, if you're going to lose, you want to take a game over. You don't want to continue that there, because dying bad.
Yeah, right.
And, as I'm sure you would have noticed at this point, if you continue to die, it loses you more time than if you...
So you just saved $25 basically.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much. You know what? You may say what you want. I love charity. Again, I'm going to chuck that out there. Don't get it twisted. I like charity. I like my wallet as well. I think that's a fair justice. How do you think that goes down?
I think... You know what, I'm going to be honest, I spaced out for the last 20 seconds because I was staring at the guns that the Superman guys are using.
Yeah.
And it just made me think of Evil Emperor Zurg from Toy Story.
That is kind of what the vibe is going for here as well.
I don't know why I just heavily spaced out looking at that.
Dude, I'll tell you what, that's kind of the problem with this game is, the thing is with running a regular game is that you're constantly giving instant feedback, right? Yeah. Whereas this game is like you're waiting for like very specific moments. It is kind of just interesting, like, what did I have for dinner last night? Was it spaghetti? No, I don't think it was spaghetti. You know, it's that sort of thing there, where it's like, you know, it's like, oh, well, you know, here's this thing that you were doing. Oh, wait, I'm dead.
Yeah, whereas, you know, on the other hand, I'm like, with what I speedrun, like Crash games, right? Like, I could be speedrunning for years, but then someone who might just come to chat and be like, did you know that in the background of this very specific level, if you wait until the system clock of your console says like 11:16 p.m., there's a little Easter egg that happens. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I just play the game and go quick.
Yeah.
I don't have time to look at any of this stuff.
No, that's fair.
But in this game, you know, look, you know, you could tell me what the gradient like hash is that they've used on the ground here. What hash brown is that? Hash brown, by the way. Shout out. But
That's
that
what,
was not
there you
intentional.
go. That's what it is. It's
what
hash
what
brown.
hash code brown do you think this is?
I have to be honest, Damo. I'm not much of an artist.
I would say it's hash 00F870.
You know, you're gonna have to go down. Like, I don't know if you've got Photoshop installed.
I do.
You're gonna have to go home and you're gonna have to
I
look
will
at
check.
Photoshop now.
I've already forgot what number I said. Someone write that down. See
I-
what I mean? In the meantime,
I have absolutely. I'm not gonna lie. I have no idea what you said, and I'm just gonna pretend like I have no idea what you said. Because I have no idea what you said.
See, well, you've been pretending to not know what I said, and I bought it until you mentioned that you are not paying attention. Anyway, round 80. This is over.
I missed my timing here, unfortunately,
Oh
which means
my
that I'm not going to
God.
get the downgrade, but that's okay, because we're just going to get the suck there instead. All right, final game mode time. Now, I did say that before. I kind of saved a little bit of a potential problem one for last year. Now, the good news is that double HP mobs is very similar to all the other game modes that I've played on hard so far. It's the exact same, in fact. There's a bit of a problem though. There's double HP mobs, and you know, it's like if you're just thinking about playing hard mode,
Yep.
then you might run into a bit where you kind of forget that you've got enemies that have got double HP up here. So there is just kind of the chance that one of these things can make it through, and you can go, oh wait, I didn't account for that. Oh whoops, I guess I'm dead. So, you know, it's unlikely that I die.
Out of 10, what is your stress level doing this level right now?
Like a 1.
You made that sound so much worse than it is.
Well, I mean, Damo,
This could be awful. I could lose the entire
Yeah.
run right now.
Yeah. Damo, that's been
stress,
the entirety of the run, though, hasn't it? But
Definitely not the beginning.
You've seen how much I've died, though.
You were sweating quite a lot of the stuff.
Are you sure?
Well, maybe because the lights are kind of warm, but there was definitely a lot of
Dude, was I glistening?
dude. It was like a.
can
never
be-
mind. I
You
can't
can be
continue the joke
you
'cause I
can be
forget.
honest with it. Be honest with me.
What was the Pokemon game they said had a lot of water? It's not funny now because I ruined my own joke by having to. Anyway,
Damo, what gen of Pokemon did you end up playing?
dude, I don't know. I played since Ruby. Yeah.
Yeah?
Maybe it was X and Y.
Damo.
No, it was Omega Ruby.
It was.
Actually.
Damo,
it
that's
was.
shameful. That's shameful, Damo. You even just said it. It was literally the first one.
I played Pokemon games for like a week on release, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But you apparently know so much about the IGN reviews, though. What's up
that's
with
what
that?
it was.
That's it.
Well, my joke was going to be that it feels like a
A 7.8
out of 10.
out of 10.
Too much water.
Too much water. But you ruined it, didn't you?
I did ruin it. We've spent the last 18 rounds explaining what my terrible joke was going
That's
to
it.
be. And to be honest, maybe that's just
Maybe
because there's not much else to talk about.
Well,
I mean, you've got
you
this
know
under
what?
control. There's a
You know what?
dancing monkey over
Yeah,
there.
it's like you know what? Wow, what if
He's-
we went through the exact same build that we went through for the past 20 or so rounds here, huh? Oh, also I forgot to get Benjamin. That's a bit of a whoopsie daisy. Oh well,
Oh, yeah.
that kind of
Ben
sucks.
can sit one out.
That's it.
Never mind.
He's
He's
not going to sit one out though.
He's typing
He's
away.
definitely not going to sit one out.
What is he doing, actually?
He's making sushi.
Ah,
This is the
I thought he
sushi
was
skin.
typing on like I thought he was like an accountant monkey.
No, oh,
Just-
that is definitely what he does in the regular game there. He is an accountant monkey there.
right.
Yeah, you know what he says? When someone gets through here, someone's not popping balloons. Yeah. Dude, he is that guy. He's like the chatter that comes into your chat there and he's like, dude, have you just tried not dying?
Well, today you definitely didn't try that, but
Thanks, Damo.
no worries, man.
I'm glad that I can rely on you to give me the hard-hitting facts here.
Hey, a true friend would stay honest with you. And I'm going to stay honest with you for a second. This run has gone very well.
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I think it's gone great.
Don't you dare. Look, you know, it's like one of those things where it's like you just have the worst cooking. It's like somebody just comes up to you and is like, wow, You did great with this cooking. I love
I've heard
this.
that so often.
I love this meal. This meal was great.
Yeah.
And you're just like, stop lying to me. Stop. I know in my heart of hearts. But that means that when I come back to ASM next time, if they will even let me back in next time.
Yeah, you've said quite a lot of controversial stuff on the mic, so.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if I wake up tomorrow with a few angry Twitter threads, just being like, I can't believe.
Well, that's a normal day, but maybe a couple more. So.
Oh. Yeah, you know what? Maybe it is just me then. Maybe you know what? I'm just gonna focus on playing Bloons now.
Yeah.
There's a monkey on the screen now that's doing the stuff, and it's pretty cool, isn't it, Damo?
Yeah, this feels like the last 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Except for this time, there's different monkeys.
I don't see any different monkeys.
No, you don't?
I don't.
Oh, no way.
Wait, which monkey?
No, I'm just fucking with you.
That's a swear jar.
There we go. That's one for charity.
You haven't spent enough.
I need to get that out of my
I've
system,
stayed
mate.
clean. I haven't dropped any swears.
Yeah, I mean, good on
Doing
you,
great.
buddy. Buddy, have you had your speed run go to absolute poop?
No, but I did lose the race.
Well,
so.
I mean, I'd argue that's probably having your running go to absolute
Yeah,
poop.
I guess so.
It's like, you know, it's definitely like that.
Well, one run that's not going to absolute poop is this run.
That's cap.
Sorry, I don't relate to these Zoomer terms. I'm 29 years old.
Yeah. Do you want to know the funny thing there?
Yeah.
I should have died.
Surprising how you kept your cool.
Yeah, yeah, dude, I was fully prepared. I saw it's like my light flashed before my eyes there. I was like, I fully embraced death.
That's what's crazy to me about this run is that like I didn't even see anything wrong happening.
Yeah, you didn't.
But the whole time, you were like a monkey banging two cymbals in your head, and you're like, alert, this is going bad.
No,
and I couldn't hear those cymbals.
Damo, I don't think you understand. That is just me in a nutshell. That is just me.
Just a monkey with cymbals?
Yeah, just the
going
monkey
up
with
all
cymbals.
times.
They're just.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you've seen the episode of Simpsons, right?
No, I've actually only seen 2 Simpsons episodes ever. The one where they get the Christmas funzo thing.
What is wrong with you?
And the one where they make a band and they sing, yeah.
Damo, that's like every episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's why I stopped. I was like, well, I've seen them all now.
Oh.
Like, what else is there to do?
I mean, is he wrong?
I don't think so.
Is he wrong?
So pineapples are down, not
Yeah.
grilled
Okay.
this
So
time,
this is where the things can get a little bit iffy, right? So because we're playing on double HP mobs here, there is the distinct chance that I forgot about one of these.
skull emoji.
Yeah, I skull emoji one of these right now, and it's like, oh boyo, here's your defense in absolute shambles. I'm like, oh no, bro. It's like I put on that real Aussie accent, you know?
Yeah, you start pronouncing no as N-A-U-R.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, like I know for the American viewers out there, I really gotta, you know, just try to play into it there for them. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you understand where I'm coming from there. But the good thing is that now that we've got spike mines down, it should be pretty much 100% that we don't die. We just need to make sure that come round 57 here, that we don't pull a bit of a whoopsie daisy again. I mean, you know, that seems to be a bit of a recurring theme here. No whoopsie daisies. We just got to make sure that, yeah, nothing bad happens here. So we're just going to press that button there once or twice, and then all of our problems have now officially gone away.
We've never explained what those exclamation points are. I've seen this a couple of times, but I'm not.
So what happens here is that when Ben uses his siphon ability, those towers that get affected by it, they can't fire for a little bit after that goes on cooldown there. So it's a bit of risk reward there where it's like, oh, you know, you can get a little bit out of this here as well, but there is distinctly the chance where, hey, you know what, dude, if you time this wrong, you're going to end up dead. So you've got to be a little bit careful with that. Now, I do believe if I tap this like once or twice there, that we're all good. Alrighty. So, thankfully, Damo, I don't know about you. I've never been more glad that a speedrun is about to finish up.
Look, I mean,
Don't.
I won't say anything.
Don't say
I will not say anything. You might want to just keep eyes on the road.
You know what? I'm just gonna smile and wave.
Just smile and
Smile
wave.
and
Smile and wave.
Yeah, surely nothing will go wrong if I just smile and
Of course
wave.
not.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I'm gonna have Worcester just out the back of the door, just there, just being like, hey, so we need to have a chat.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
about your future here.
that's it. You know, it's been real nice having you here, but
Oh god, every time those pineapples disappear, man.
see,
it's-
Damo, what did I say before?
I can't help it. I mean, it's just stressful.
No,
Like,
I take-
I've seen runs die in this game in 0.5 seconds.
That's how it is.
Well, I don't want it to be that
I don't
way. So
want
did
it
you
to be
put more
that way
pineapples
either.
on?
No, Damo, have you learned nothing?
I have not learned much.
Greed is good.
2.5 hours ago, I had no idea. I'm a fraud. 2.5 hours ago, I didn't know anything about Bloons. All right, even though I watched you for like the last year. Play
You
it.
didn't want to tell the viewers this before they came in here.
I'm pretty sure they could gauge that I know nothing about this game whatsoever, and they're like, "Who? Why is he there?"
That is a good why.
They're like, "I've got it on my phone right now. Let me go up and sit up there. I can do this."
You're giving them endless fuel right now. You know that, right? You know that. I'm gonna have a
Just
few
want everyone
chatters.
to get home safe.
You know what? Maybe that if that means that we're gonna have more people in attendance next year at ASM, just being like, hey, dude, look at that Damo guy. Dude, no
Look,
use.
I signed up, but hey, saw that guy out the front.
Yeah.
Decided to go home.
That's it. You know what? That's all good, right? Like, you're giving them a bit of confidence here. Now, as you may note, we're kind of in the final stretch here.
We are.
That's
9
it.
levels left.
That's it. 9 levels
rounds.
left. And I feel pretty confident in saying, Damo, I've said before, we've got this one in the bag.
Yep.
Damo,
Please have no like buts about this.
Damo.
Or however,
I've got some bad news.
taking a drink.
Hey, Damo,
Yeah.
you want to play a drinking game?
Okay. Okay. Can I get the rules? What's gonna happen?
Take a drink every single time I say, but there may be a problem in between here. You know,
Okay.
there is a small chance I die.
You're building up my anxiety. What is happening? What
Okay.
what am I meant to be looking
So,
for?
Damo, coming up here,
Yeah.
there is a slight chance that I may die.
Okay.
Take a
Okay.
drink.
Oh, right. You're not meant to drink water after 9 p.m., aren't you?
No.
Yeah. And it's... Well, I can't tell you what time it is, because that would spoil
Yeah,
it.
that's right. I don't.
Yeah.
That's right. We're trying to.
Is there actually anything that can kill you now? It's around 75.
No.
76.
No. I was just messing with you.
It's already 77.
I know.
We're home free.
Yeah. You know what? You know what? Even after all this time,
You just left me hanging.
I did. You deserved it. You fell for it.
I'm glad we're at the... I'm glad we're done.
You're glad that we're done, Damo?
No, no, I'm
Shame-
glad that we're done.
Damo, I can't believe you right now.
I've
Damo.
seen you lose it on round
Damo.
9.
I can't believe you right. Look at you. Look at you.
A professional. I have
You're a
sat here
professional.
for almost
professional.
an undisclosed amount of time, watching you dominate this game. And early on, I got a little bit worried, okay? Because I could kind of feel, like, yeah, I'm taking a sledgehammer through the earth right now.
No,
I'm
no,
going
no, 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 no,
all
no.
the
That's
way.
a shovel. You're digging this
Yeah,
hole.
but I'm using a sledgehammer.
Yeah, a very ineffective tool against some
exactly,
ground,
not
if I
doing
do
it
say
very-
so myself.
I'm not doing a very good job.
No.
Oh god, I love speedrun marathons.
I love
friendships marathon. Friendships.
This
do
is where we
not
go.
last.
And time is when the round will pop up here in just a second. That's time.
Good job. Hey, you gonna clap for yourself? Yeah, you deserve it.
Pat on the back for me. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for putting up with me here tonight. I hope you all had a blast here. My name has been FroSteeMate. A few shout outs here. Thank you to Damo, who ended up joining me on the desk here tonight, even though he had literally no idea what the hell he was
Zero.
talking about. Would you believe that if you saw that at the start of the run there? I don't know. Please feel free to join in on some Bloons speedruns. Check out the Discords there that we've got up. We're always looking for more people to come in and sign up there. And yeah, just check out my Twitch, where you can actually see the run here, but better, a lot better than this, because there's resets, and that's why we love speedruns, is because we cut out time there. Anyway, I'm gonna stop waffling now because we're like, I don't even know, and I don't want to know how far we are behind. So I'm just gonna take off this headset.
Well, I mean, you got a 244, so
A 244.
yeah. So you finished above estimate. You're fine.
Hey!
Yeah, so congrats. Cool.
Thank you, Frosty, for that amazing Bloons run. Up next, we have AFL Evolution 2 Season Mode Full Season Grand Final Win by Conical Black.
Welcome to the studio.
I actually have some really exciting news. Everyone, welcome back to the stream.
We covered a lot today.
We have $50 from Base Tradie with no comment, but thank you very much for your generous donation. Up next, we have AFL Evolution 2 Season Mode Full Season Grand Final win by the absolute legend Conical Flack. Take it away.